Save the sorrow for when we wake up. But for tonight, it seems I'm tangled up in you, tangled up in you. I can't seem to shake you, baby. I can't seem to shake you, baby. I swear tomorrow that I'll give you up. Let go in. Save the sorrow for when we wake up. But for tonight, it seems I'm tangled up in you, tangled up in you, tangled up in tangled up tangled up
That's right. Live on Chicano Tube, live on Chicano Street is Mexican Heritage Month. Do me a favor, mi beautiful linda raza. Before we break this whole thing down to the ground, do me a favor. Just hit that like, hit that subscribe, and then you got to hit the bell. And when you hit the bell, you got to hit the all button. That way you're notified every single time that we go live on Chicano Street. We got a special guest. We got none other than Run the Fade, yours truly. Norbeez is in the casa. Norbeez, how are you, cabron?
I am great, man. How are you tonight?
Good, good, good. No, I'm absolutely excellent. It's Mexican Heritage Month. So this is a topic that's been a long time coming. We should have broke this down and given the raza their due diligence, their history of where they come from. There's a lot of information that we're
A
gonna give
ton.
on this live. But do me a favor, just hit that like, whether you're watching on
Yes.
Chicano Street, or I also want to welcome the Run the Fade family. I appreciate you guys
Hey.
from Run the Fade that are tuning in right here. Let's go ahead and just get straight into it. Is there any words that you want to say, cabron, before we go
Bro,
dive in?
this is wild. This is wild because this is Southern California, Central California. You know, doing what we should be doing, collaborating, coming together, speaking about raza, speaking about history, speaking about our culture. It's a beautiful thing that technology allows us to do things like that, like this together, and have our audiences come together. It's almost like we're having a small like town meeting
Hmm.
where where we're here, we're speaking to the audience, we're speaking to the people, people that are important to us and important to the movement, and it's really special. It's a special day that we can come together and just do something like this.
Chop it up. That's right. We just passed Mexican Independence Day. Raza, I don't even know if we're going to
Hey,
be able to get to that. That's in the 20th century with the Revolucion. We're actually trying to start at zero. That
damn,
way we can
zero.
understand our real deep roots. Now, again, this is aimed toward Mexicanos, okay? No offense to anyone else. We ain't going to bump heads or argue shit tonight. No, not tonight. Not tonight. This is strictly Mexican heritage and history because it's Mexican Heritage Month. Don't get it twisted. Or Norbeez, let me ask you this: is it
Yeah,
Mexican Heritage Month or is it Latinx Month?
it's Mexican Heritage Month. I know, you know what, and this is what I hate about the that system, that it creates different situations to divide us, keep us separated, and confuse us.
Hmm.
Because September, it's always been about Mexicans, because it's Independence Day. Is when Mexico was able to declare independence from Spain. It was meant for Mexicans to celebrate. I mean, not the whole month, but for the most part, it was for Mexico. Now, the U.S. government and mainstream media want to say no, it's all Hispanic, it's everything. Although I do
Mm,
want to say one thing, since we are going into Mexican history,
say it.
that does come with an asterisk
Mm,
because, as we all know, a lot of parts of the U.S. was part of Mexico,
mm.
and in some, if not all of Central America was part of Mexico also.
Now we're gonna
But
get
we'll
to
get
that,
into
cabron,
that. We'll get into that later.
because there are people that say they stole the land. Let's give them the land back.
That's a crazy history.
Well, it is a crazy history. So again, Raza, just do me a favor. Let's go ahead and get into it. Norbeez, I don't even know how long we're gonna be here, cabron. If we're
We're
truly
gonna be
trying
here
to
for
break all this down, we might be here
oh,
for a while. Okay.
I'm getting calls already. Whoa, sorry
No,
about that. I'm already
no,
getting calls.
you're already getting
Uh,
calls. Okay, I'll,
yeah,
I'll, I'll
shout
put
out
the
Johnny
banner up.
D, Spanish Fly. I'll call you back later.
We'll put the banner up, gente, with the phone number momentarily, but we're going to get into something that's the roots and the history of the raza. Norbeez, let's go and let's deep dive into this, cabron. It's time to go all the way in. Let's talk about the beginning, Norbeez. Let's talk about the year zero. We know that timelines all start somewhere, and they
Yes,
started with Jesus's birth. That's just historical fact. It's
yes.
BC or it's AD. BC means before Christ. AD means after. Now, Norbeez, let's talk about for the people. How do you think? Do you think what YouTube says, that there was a migration from Antarctica, a land bridge, etc., or people came this way or came that way, or ice melted, or were there always just indigenous native people to all lands?
Yeah, that's all a bunch of crock. It's bullshit. That whole land bridge thing, even they don't believe it. But for the most part, I could say that there is research that they have done, specifically from my tribe, where according to their research, our DNA, predates the ice age, meaning
Mm,
there was no land bridge when my tribe was here.
mm,
The only thing they could come up with, that we came up with some sort of boat to make our way here,
mm,
because according to their research, our bloodline goes back to more than 20,000 years ago.
mm.
That's
Okay.
way before the land bridge.
Yeah. And you know
So
what? At the end of the day, if you believe the Bible, because I believe the Bible, at the end of the day, if you believe the Bible, it's Adam and Eve and it's one people, right? And then the Bible talks about there's floods, people got wiped away, but one people, and there's one instance in the Bible, like the Tower of Babel instance, where people got separated. So I believe at some point there wasn't separation. I don't personally believe that the raza ended up coming to Mexico in boats, or were some kind of nomads from Alaska or the Antarctic continent. I believe that the people were native to the land. I just wanted to put that out
definitely,
there. Okay.
definitely, yeah.
All right.
Just to
So,
clarify, my because I baby love asked, what tribe is that? It's the Zapotec tribe.
okay. And gente, we got a treat for you tonight. Not only are we going to be doing a timeline, we're also I'm going to be showing you an image that I got that breaks down depending what part of Mexico you're from. Now, if you're a pocho and you're here 2, 3 generations, and it might not be you, it might just be what you heard your grandparents came from. But we're going to put all of that out there and try to give you as much information as possible. The years AD starting from zero. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it, Norbeez. There were tribes already here.
Oh yeah,
The oldest tribe that I believe has been documented are the Olmecs. Do you believe
yes.
that?
Well, to be honest, yes, because I've said it before. The omics are still around. They you gotta. A lot of people have to realize that a lot of these names came from the Mexica or the
Mm,
Spanish. They came up with these names. That being said, that doesn't mean that the actual, like my tribe. My tribe was named by was given the name was given by the Mexicas. They told the Spanish, those guys right there, oh, they're the Zapotecs.
yep.
Really, the way we call ourselves, it goes by, and I might slaughter this one, but it's actually called Bene Ur. Bene Ur. That's how we would refer ourselves. which means in our language it means people of the cloud.
Mm, mm.
The
Gotcha. So,
Olmecs, I want to say the same thing happened with them, where either the Mexica or the Spanish named them.
mm,
But in reality, I've told many people, I've said this many times, they're still around. That tribe is actually called the Mijes. Again, Mijes, they refer to themselves as Mijes also, so I gotta assume that that's actually their name. Their tribe is actually located north of the same mountains where we're at.
mhm, mhm.
So at one point, we shared pretty much the same mountain, and they just stuck to the north, and we stuck to the southern part of the mountains.
Okay, gotcha.
But they're still around.
Absolutely.
Just to clarify, the Olmecs are still around. They're just not like many of us. We don't have the knowledge that we once had ages ago.
Now, my research showed that the original and one of the oldest tribes documented was the Olmecs, and it also showed that about 300 or 400, I think it was AD, all of a sudden mysteriously they just up and left their whole civilization and left their pyramids. So it's
Yeah.
either there was a war, something happened, like some kind of insurrection from the interior, but then no one knows what happened to them. And
Mhm.
then other tribes arose, like the Mayans. So
Yes.
with the Mayans, the Mayan Peninsula, they call that whole area over there. Okay,
Yeah.
here's another civilization. Here's another tribe that's very, very early in the history of Mexico. And we're going to show a map right now to show where all of these lay around at. Okay.
Yeah.
So for a lot of years, Norbeez, you know that before, and we're talking pre-colonial days.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not even factoring in the Europeans, the Spanish, not yet. We're talking about the raza that was there
Yeah.
in the land, it's their land, etc. Before these European concepts came in, there was a
Yeah.
lot of tribal warfare. What do you know about all these tribes going at each other's necks before the Spanish got here?
Well, I mean, that's how historically it shows. That's one of the ways that the Mexica gained so much power in Mexico, because they pretty much, it was a collection of warriors and some older people. For I guess, oh, another, from what I gathered, they're a collection of tribes, mainly of warriors and probably of some leaders, but they managed to just take over the majority part of Mexico, which
Mm,
clearly a lot of tribes did not appreciate their, their lands being taken, or,
yeah.
everything that comes with the spoils of war.
And a lot of people can't believe that, Norbies. A lot of people don't believe that. Oh, what do you mean that? Because they get the images of the Aztecas and this and that, but they don't know we were, and I include myself in there, as far as Mexican native indigenous people, we were going at each other's throats.
Yeah.
Basically, by the time the Spanish came, it was almost easy pickings. All they had to do was just form alliances, because they figured, okay, these guys are bumping heads over here. These
Yeah.
guys are bumping heads over here. How can we capitalize on the situation? To keep it real, 500 Spaniards capitalize on that situation.
I actually call them the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Oh man, Norby's. We'll talk about that, cabron. But again, let's go back to this timeline that we're talking about to give some context for the people of what it is. Here it is from the beginning. This timeline, it shows it now. 80 0 to 500. One of the most beautiful cities. Gente, I want you to feel pride when I say this. I want you to feel those Mexican raíces. Okay, we need to stop being Cinco de Mayo Mexicans. Okay. Cinco de Mayo Mexicans, we're proud to be Mexicans only one time a year. Chale con eso. Teotihuacan, a gorgeous, beautiful, advanced city, was around from zero all the way past the year 500, inhabited by many tribes, but such a beautiful city. And then in about the 6th to 7th century, Norbies, more people came flooding in from central Mexico. These are just other tribes.
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm going to show something to let the people know exactly where these tribes are coming from. That way we can go ahead and give more context to the people. So, Norbies, you said you're from right here, right? This is the orange state, Oaxaca.
Yeah, Oaxaca. There you go.
Okay, let's go ahead and read all these
But
tribes.
you
Have
know
you
what?
heard of these?
I do want to clarify one part about, and you know how I talked about the research that was made on my tribe.
Dime.
Now, part of that research also indicated to them that we actually had a very large population in Mexico. But in their research, it showed that something somewhere in the thousands of years, something happened where our population dramatically fell. Meaning we had a huge population, and then something happened that made our population actually decrease, and to a point where actually our my tribe actually retreated to the mountains of Oaxaca. We abandoned our pyramids, and we left everything
Mm.
and hid all of our stuff.
Now, to my understanding, before the colonizers got here, before they got here, there was 20 million. Again, these are just numbers. No one really knows. This is just research and numbers that are out there. No one really knows, right? We weren't there. We didn't see it. No somos Dios. There was numbers that there was 20 million inhabitants before the Spanish came, and again centralized where they came, right?
Yeah.
Um, to Tenochtitlan. So after they came, it said the numbers dwindled from 20 million to 6 million. Are you talking about after the Spanish came?
No, before
Oh,
much more
before.
before. But I do find this map interesting though, because I see here that Oaxaca is missing one tribe, and they actually put it in a different state. I do
Okay.
want to clarify that because the
Read the
tribe
tribes,
known as
cabron.
Mixtecos, the Mixteco tribe was actually from Oaxaca. I don't know why they put it in Puebla, but
But they're your neighbor. Could they be
maybe.
right? Could the map be right? I mean, they're your
And
neighbor.
I say that because when the Spanish did come to Oaxaca, and they when they arrived to our pyramids, which is Monte Alban,
Mm,
we had already abandoned those pyramids. And the ones in the tribe inhabiting that pyramid at the time when the Spanish came were the
mm,
Mixtecs. And that's
mm,
on record that it was the Mixtecs that were actually living there.
mm,
Uh, and the Mixtecs were the ones that told the Spanish where we were at, because when the Spanish got there, everything inside the pyramids were gone. Like scrolls, jewelry, things
yeah,
that
yeah.
still will find pyramids. That was all gone. So they obviously knew there was something there, and they wanted to get their hands on it. So they asked the Mystics, okay, well, where are the people that were here then? Where
Mm,
where where are they? And that's when the Mystics helped them, you know, find us in our mountains,
ah,
which led to a battle between us and the Spanish, which on record, Hernan Cortez actually wrote a letter to the king telling him that he wasn't going to try to mess with us anymore, and he was just going to leave us alone.
mm. We're going to talk about that because it was because of all what was happening in Spain. Remember when Napoleon, I'm getting ahead because I got a timeline.
Oh, you are
But
getting ahead.
I'm getting ahead. But when Napoleon, he hit Spain, all of a sudden that was a time. It was a time for an upheaval and go. But real quick, I want to show this because my mother's from Jalisco and my father was from Michoacan. So the tribes that are predominantly, and this goes to the raza that you might not even know what tribe you're from. You might not even know. And I'm not saying this is 100% accurate, but this is pretty damn close, I believe.
Yeah.
Jalisco, you had two predominant tribes. One of them was called the Huichol, in case you didn't know, the Huichol tribe. The other one's called the Nahuas. Okay, those two tribes are the ones from Jalisco. And I'm glad I'm putting this map up. That way, the gente, this will forever be on YouTube. You can go ahead and identify with it during this portion. And the other state where my pops is from, Michoacan, and then we're going to read where Norbeez is from because he got a lot of tribes over there.
Hey.
Michoacan, the Mazahuas is one tribe. Nahuas is another one, same as Jalisco. Purepechas, that's
Hey.
another one that's coming straight out of Michoacan. And the last
Nice.
one is the Otomis. Now, Norbeez, what about these ones? Can you identify with any of the ones in Oaxaca?
Well, mine would be right there's the Zapotecs, and the ones I told people that are actually the Omics is right there called the Mijes, Mixe. Aside from that, the Mazatecos, I've heard of them. Ixat, the Ixcateco, I think I've heard of that. And the Chatinos, no, not the
So
Oh, the
historically,
Chinantecos. The
yeah,
Chinantecos. There
yeah,
you go. Those guys.
yeah. Again, this is like it's not a fucking reading test and shit, but yeah, we're trying our best. The people are gonna get the clown on though. You can't read in second grade, whatever. But you notice how Oaxaca has a lot of tribes. O sea, those indigenous roots. If you're from Oaxaca, you could be almost 100%. I mean, I believe now everyone's mixed, but you could be 100%. Look what we got: Tacuates, the Triquis. I've heard of that. I've heard of that. I've heard of some
Yeah.
colonies around here that speak that dialect. The Zapotecas, there's Norbeez right there.
Hey,
Okay, there's Norbeez. Soques, Nahuas, Mise, or Mixe, however you want to say
Mije.
it.
Mije.
Minje. Okay, so it's like a H.
Yeah.
Musgos, look at all these tribes from Oaxaca, man. There's a lot of culture, a
Yeah.
lot of roots deep, deep, deep in Oaxaca. Amuzgos, Chatinos, Chinantecos, Chochos, Chontales, Chucatecos, Huaves, Ixtateco, Mazateco. Okay, man, that's a lot. So identify with whatever state you're from. You could drop it right there in the comment section. If not, go
Definitely.
ahead and just zoom in and you could see exactly what state you're from.
Let's see. Risky business is Matamoros,
Tamualipas.
Tamaulipas.
Yeah, yeah. Risky Business wanted us to do the whole pinche live in Spanish. Pinche Risky Business. Another person commented before the live and said, Norbeez is going to say, you invaded my land. And Mikey's is going to say, yeah, we did. I'm like, que gacho, man. They're saying that I look like a Spaniard, but I mean, I'm not going to fake the funk. I mean, pues look at mi cara, yeah? Look at my cara.
Hey, hey,
All right.
shout out to HCB's chemistry.
That's right. HCB Chemistry is in the house. Okay, Norbeez, let's move the
Let's keep it
ball
going.
a
Let's keep it going.
little bit longer because we're going to try to get to the colonization and we're also going to try to get to the Mexican Revolution. Okay. Now, so the colonizers came, okay, and they basically they joined forces, allies. Again, before they came, this was all tribes, is all raza, man. You know
Yeah.
what? I don't want to jump to the colonizers yet. Norbeez.
Yeah.
Before the colonizers came, how was Mexico? Describe the civilization, describe the streets, describe the daily living, the economy. How was it?
I mean, if there was like a capital for that land, it would probably be the Mexica land. Um,
Tenochtitlan?
it's, yeah, Tenochtitlan. I already
Tenochtitlan?
butchered that name, but yeah, it would be that area, and then you would have the surrounding tribes. From what I hear, even from Spanish witnesses, they would say it was one of the most beautiful cities they've ever seen. More beautiful than anything they've ever seen in Spain. I mean, and that says a lot when they would compliment it so much. They would say that it was so much more beautiful than anything Spain had ever reproduced or produced.
Mm.
So
Now,
that tells me a lot about what that's why I said I think that land would have been better off had it never had European Americans come over like that.
okay, they're getting ahead again, cabron. Cálmate, cabron. Number one stunners in the casa says
Hey.
Gabachos ruined everything. Okay, we're going to talk about that. And I don't got my sampler right now to play samples, cabron. Okay, so then why, Norbeez, to your understanding, and we're talking pre-colonial still, were these tribes going at each other's necks? Why were they killing each other? Is it just, it was just macho
Uh,
shit, conquering shit?
From what I gathered too, I don't think too much fighting was happening because, and I say that because I don't see anywhere, I haven't seen anywhere in the records where even the Spanish would say, oh, they were just killing each other. The only thing you would hear from the Spanish is that no, we just saw them sacrificing people and doing satanic rituals according to them. But for the most part, I think at that point the Mexicas had already pretty much gained control and already, I would say, dominated the area where nobody's really fighting with each other.
Mm,
Although these other tribes are definitely waiting for that moment to, take them out.
mhm,
I
I
mean,
get it.
but they pretty much had control of the land. They had the respect, and I don't think too many wars were happening. There is a war where one time the Mexica did go down to Oaxaca to try to invade us.
Mm,
It was never successful because where we were at, it was very difficult for them to challenge us because, as you know, their battlefield is pretty much a plain. And by that I mean this flat area
Yeah.
where my tribe is way up in the mountains and lots of trees, a lot of nature. If you
Mm.
didn't know the area, you would probably, die out
Get
there.
lost.
I ain't get lost. Let me
Yeah.
remind people there are jaguars up there. There are a lot of different wild animals and insects and snakes
Yeah.
with poison. So if you didn't know the lay of the land in those mountains, you would not survive too long
Yeah.
back then.
Now, is this accurate when I say this, Norbeez? I'm trying to give accurate information. Fact check me, cabron, okay?
Yes.
The Mexica, okay?
Yeah.
The Mexica are what people refer to as the Aztecs. That's the same people, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, got it. And then the word Aztec was given by the Europeans. They didn't
Yes.
call themselves that, but that just like they gave the name Mexico.
Yes.
Is that to your understanding too?
Yes. As far as I know, the Spanish, they're the ones that named the Aztecs, the Mexica Aztecs, based off their what do you call it? Their, I guess, their motherland.
Mm,
Their
yeah,
motherland being Aslan.
yeah.
So they would use the word Aslan to refer to them as Aztecs
Mm,
because that's what they believed in.
okay.
And
So and then here's something else, and this is a big, big question right here. YouTube Landia. Don't forget to hit that pinchy like. We got Run the Fade. I appreciate everyone that's tuning in from Run the Fade. And of course, we got everyone on Chicano Street because it's Mexican Heritage Month. No, it's not Hispanic. No, it's not Latinx. And maybe Norbeez has a different opinion, but it's Mexican Heritage Month. So we need to give something substantial over to the raza. Let me ask you this, Norbeez.
yes,
Where, because they say Aztecas came from Aslan, where is Aslan, or where was this Aslan? And was there an Aslan, or is that some kind of myth?
from what I take it, I thought it was some sort of myth. As far as the way they describe it is where they came from.
Mm,
Some would say it's in Arizona.
damn.
Uh, others would say might be in Oaxaca. And I say that because there's an area,
Well, you want it to be in Oaxaca with it.
there's a place in Oaxaca that's actually called Islan.
Oh,
Um,
I instead of the A.
yes, yes. So that I thought that was curious that
Yeah.
their place that they think of when they think of the
Mm,
homeland, it would be Aslan, and we have a place called Islan. I thought
mm,
that tripped me out. I mean, is it a
yeah.
coincidence? I don't know. But you know what? I want to answer somebody's question because somebody said about your map, where are the Aztecs?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good one. So,
And I actually want to say anything that says Nahuas. I want to say that's more related to the Aztecs and Mexica, which is like literally everywhere. I don't know if you
right.
noticed in the map, there's Nahuas everywhere.
Yeah, there's Nahuas everywhere, but is there a Mexica on this map? That's a
And,
good question.
and I think
So,
that's what they're using to describe them.
so basically, it would be where this map says Estado de Mexico. I believe that's where Tenochtitlan would be, which is that
Yeah.
right between those two yellow sections, there's a little green, but it's like a army green section. I
Is it
believe that's
Morelos?
Mexico City. Now, what I wanted to mention is this. Okay, a lot of people ask, they've been asking questions about it. The term Aztec, that comes from the Nahua word Aslan. And a lot of people didn't know this, which means I think Risky Business might have said it right now. The word Aztec comes from the Nahua word Aslan. It means white land, land of white herons, place of herons. That's where the Aztecs believe is their homeland. But I believe, according to my research, Norbeez, and I could be wrong, cabron, I could be wrong. I believe Aslan, because they say Aslan was in the northern regions and that they
Yes.
traveled down. Okay, the Mexicas traveled
Yes.
down when Huitzlapochtli, the god, told them, you're going to find this little island. And when you find this island embodied by a river, there's going to be an águila landing right there. Here it is right here, looking beautiful.
Yeah, that's the migration right there.
And here it is right here. They came from the north. a lot of people believe this, Norbeez. You tell me what you think. That Aslan was actually that territory that Mexico lost from Texas, Utah, New Mexico, and California. A lot of people believe that portion was Aslan, and then they went down. And so, hence, a lot of people are still saying this is Mexico,
Yeah.
etc. Give them back their land. We'll
Yeah.
maybe get into that later. What do you think
Yeah.
of that theory? Aslan is the piece of land, the northern piece of land of Mexico that was lost in the Mexican American War.
I definitely believe that there's some truth to it because the government made it a thing to make sure that they privatize that area, to make sure that they didn't
Yeah,
allow people to go to certain areas and just check it out. It's
yeah,
prohibited. We will go to jail if we try to go in there and find some caves and who knows what we could find over there. But the government made sure that we do not do that. So there's definitely something to it, and I am definitely curious and hopeful that one day we'll be able to find those answers.
yeah. And you know what? Kid Frost made it real popular. He said, "I'm from the barrio, East Los Aslan." But shout out to Kid Frost. He made Aslan know. But but trip out on this. All my research said the same thing. I was looking at some notes. It says that the Aztecs believe they're from the northern tribe who migrated south.
Yeah.
Okay. And Aslan was that northern region. Okay. That's what a lot of people say. I don't know. But again, we're talking cultura, we're talking Mexican history.
Yeah.
And I think now is a good time, unless you want to add anything else. We're going to segue into what was the environment before the colonizers got here. I think you gave a little piece.
Yeah.
Was there peace? Was there wars? What was it like before they arrived?
Oh, okay.
And so before they arrived, it was it Andale, 1519. Okay. So before they arrived, the Spanish came, boom, and they only had 500 people with them. Norbeez, people ask all the time, how in the world can 500 people defeat millions and millions of inhabitants? What do you answer them when they ask you that?
You want the out there answer or just a basic answer?
I want the no cut, pure Bolivian answer.
Like I said earlier when I suggested to the part where I said that
Don't hold back, cabron.
the Spanish were the four horsemen of the apocalypse because as you know these horsemen brought upon certain things, right? Famine, disease, uh death, and I forgot the fourth one,
Plagues,
plagues. They brought all
hunger,
these
famine,
things.
all that, right?
And remember, there was four boats. There was the Pinta, the Santa Maria, and I forgot the other one. And then there was the last one, Cortez's boat. I think
Yeah.
Cortez's boat was called El Calabre.
And when they came over on those boats, Cortez actually destroyed those boats because he was saying, hell or high water, we're going to conquer this land and there is no running back to the motherland. You remember
There's
that
no
part?
no, they yeah. Yeah, and you know what? I want to say Cortez was a very superstitious man also, and he definitely believed that a higher being was definitely on his side, guiding him and helping him as far as the way to conquer the people there.
Risky business. Don't start, cabron. He's saying the Oaxacans were the ones that helped Hernan Cortez. Stop already.
That's not true. There's a letter him mentioning us, but in regards to how we kicked his ass and his military. But
All
that's
right.
for another story.
Lots of
But
tribes going on, huge tribes, the Mexicas, you got the Mayans, you got the
yeah,
Oltecs, you got the Tulas. I mean, we put the map up right here. Look at all these tribes that were around by the time Cortez came. And now let's go ahead and get into it. Someone asked me one time, and I think I asked this over to you, Norbeez. I think you already gave your answer. I'm going to give my answer now. Would we have been better off, we meaning the country of Mexico, meaning the tribes, meaning the indigenous people, we have been better off without the Spanish conquest? Now, I had given an answer already on that, and my answer, I'm going to take my answer back, because when I gave my answer, that we'd be better off, we wouldn't be better off, it was because, Norbeez, I was answering it based on the fact that, well, cabron, if they didn't come, then there'd be no Chicano tube. Okay.
Mm, mm,
But my answer was not in the based on the perspective of what's best for the land and the people.
mm.
That's where I got it wrong. And I want to apologize to whoever heard me say that, because I do believe the people, the land would have been better off without the conquest. What do you think?
Oh, I definitely agree with you. I mean, when you look at the status of the lands right now, it's getting it's, for lack of a better word, it's getting great, if you know what I mean. The European Americans are completely destroying this land and gutting it for its resources. And I'm pretty sure, had they not been here, a lot of the land would still be available. Those resources would stay in their places. I mean, think about it. Do you have a good reason to want to leave this planet like they do? Because I don't know if you noticed, but they're spending trillions of dollars trying to build a way out of here.
Mm,
And they're using all of these lands as resources to do it.
mm.
They're
Now,
they're they're destroying it.
I want to touch on something because B Dog said better off. I want to give more context to that, because that's a deep question. And at the end of the day, it could offend a boatload of people. What do
Yes.
you mean better off? Especially if you're a Spanish descent. P Dog, let me break this down. Obviously, mira mi cara, güey. Tengo la cara de nopal, okay? But more on the Spanish side, right? You can see it. My last name is Diaz. I don't know if this is true or not, but I researched somewhere, Norbeez, that if your last name ends with a Z, that it is coming from Spain. Do you think that's true?
I actually thought that was the other way around. If it ends with an S, it comes from Spain, and it comes with a Z, it means, man, like Mexico.
Native? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. It
I
could be
thought it was
true. It could be right.
I-
You could be right. Absolutely. I'm not
S
ruling
for
anything out.
Spain, Z for Zapotec.
Este güey. I'm not ruling anything out, Norbeez, because at the end of the day, it's
But I heard the same thing, as far as
yeah, at the end of the day, and there's really nothing to research, Norbeez. Is this the truth or not, Norbeez? When the Spanish came, they tried everything in their power, burning all the codices,
yeah,
burning all the history,
yeah,
and burning all the literature, which was normative of countries that are trying to conquer other countries. Hey, you're under our rule, you're under our banner, it's our religion.
yeah.
Is that true that they did that?
Uh they definitely did that. I mean, there's even stories of in Oaxaca where the church itself, and Risky Business does have a good point. You know, in Oaxaca, they were establishing churches in the beginning there, and they were the ones that would find the books that my tribesmen would still have, and they would find them and they would burn them. And I gotta be honest though, I gotta be honest, because I had this conversation with another individual.
Mm.
Shout out to Kiw Kiwat. My bad. I keep messing with his name, but Kiwat. Kiwat. So I had told them that my beef with my ancestors was that they kept, no, they didn't keep, but they hid all of our historical records, all of our knowledge, and hid it who knows where in those mountains. But the more I look into the history, the more I look into how they moved, the more I realize they did that intentionally, because
Yeah.
had that knowledge been available to the European Americans, they might have advanced a lot faster. Because as you can tell, most of this technology that you see in the world now
Mm.
is, I would say, is based off indigenous knowledge, indigenous formulas.
You mean like geometry, maps,
Yeah.
harvesting, crops,
Yes.
ag? That's what you mean. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Okay.
agriculture, math, science, everything. I mean, you got to
Yeah.
consider that we changed the world when they discovered that we knew how to use the number zero.
Hello.
Europe
P
didn't know
Dog.
how to use zero. Supposedly India had a way of using zero, but they never had an actual symbol to represent zero.
Yeah.
Whereas we in our codex and in our pyramids, we showed signs of the zero. We knew how to use it. We knew what it meant. It had purpose.
O sea,
And
we were doing calculus while the Europeans were doing elementary math.
basically they couldn't advance in technology without our knowledge.
Mm.
They couldn't
Mm.
advance because as soon as they figured out that zero means false and one means true, they were able to create an entire system. They were able to advance. Like everybody thinks, how is America able to advance so quickly, so fast?
Yeah.
Because they learned from our ancestors. They learned how they use numbers.
Mm.
They created binary code out of zero, which is what we use.
Don't tell me your binary way. No, I'm
Hey,
just
hey,
kidding.
hey, hey, hey. Binary before binary.
Oh man, it's Mexican Heritage Month,
But
you
as
guys. We're
more
getting to
as some people might not know what binary code is pretty much what runs a computer. Zero being false, one
mm,
being true. So when you write a computer program binary code, it would be 01011100. You would write that code out in just those two numbers to create a program. Once
okay.
they figured out how to harness that, a bunch of programs started to be created, a
Okay.
bunch of systems. I mean, everything we're using even right now is based off of that. Now
Mm.
imagine they had more of our knowledge. How much control would they have over us?
Yeah. So you were getting me nervous. Way I thought you were gonna start talking about pronouns and
Hey,
binary and
hey,
other
hey,
shit.
hey, hey.
But anyways,
That's their thing.
that's their thing. Okay. This is Mexican Heritage Month. Okay. It's not Chirujo month. So cálmase,
Hey,
cabrones. Hey, P Dog. So again, better off. Would we be better off without the colonization? Again, I absolutely understand. Obviously, you see the intro, you see the image, you see the flag, you see Chicano Street, you see us mix with two, right? We're one of the few cultures that embrace two different nationalities and we're mixed. So we're two different bloodlines mixed together. So I'm not saying I wish I wouldn't be here. I wish people were wiped away or I wish people didn't exist. No. But if you think about the question, just slow down and think about the question. Would the land, would the people, of course, someone's going to say, well, they were killing each other, they're cutting off babies' heads. Some crazy stuff was happening, even though I believe
allegedly.
some of those numbers were a little exaggerated. Norbeez, what do you think about 80,000 people a day?
Yeah, that was exaggerated. And I say that because they had to say something to the king. Remember, the Spain was already in control by the Catholic Church at the time.
Mm,
So they couldn't just, genocide an entire country, right?
right.
So they had to come up. I always say that they had to come up with a good reason to start invading them with the permission of the king, because at the end of the day, they still have to follow the king's orders. If the king says let them be, they have to let them be. But
Mm,
now, if they start telling the king, well, they're sacrificing people on behalf of their demon god, well,
mm,
at that point, you're going to do God's work and you're going to save them from themselves. And you're
yeah.
going to invade their land and take over and teach them right from wrong. And that's what I believe happened. They
Mm.
created this narrative, which they're really good at doing. Even now, they created this narrative where these people were doing that. For all we know, they were just punishing the people that were breaking their rules, their laws.
So Norbeez, why, according to your knowledge, why were they even sacrificing people in the first place? Can you give an explanation? Because people have just see these, these epic pictures of the pyramid and he's
Yeah.
holding, the girl and all this. But that pyramid, they're chopping off heads. It was like Alice
And
in Wonderland, off
yeah.
with their heads. Why were they doing that? As far as you know, and there's probably more than one answer, right?
No one, that's why I say, it's interesting that in the beginning, when they talk about the land, when they talk about the people, they don't mention any of that stuff. It
Mm,
wasn't until they started realizing, oh, these people have gold, these people have jade, these people have a lot of things that we want. Let us create a narrative where these people are doing something wrong religiously so that we can take everything of theirs. And I say that because, like I said, for all we know, they were just punishing people that were breaking their rules. I mean, when you think about it,
Mm.
look at the Renaissance age, look at
Mhm.
the Dark Ages in Europe. What were they doing? They were burning people.
Oh yeah.
They were guilty of doing that.
Hmm.
There is no actual depiction, no actual records from the Mexica or anybody in that land actually saying, "Hey, yeah, they were doing that all day, every day."
Mm.
But
Mm.
the Europeans swore to it, and who ended up winning all the lands there, right? The
So again,
Europeans.
the Europeans, shout out to ALG, mi hermanos in the casa. The Europeans come to the land. Okay, I guess we're at that point now. 50 minutes into the life. The Europeans, now let's get to the colonization. They come to the land. They call them savages, barbarians, because there's even children that are getting unalived. But Norbeez, why are the tribes doing this? What is their belief? Laying someone down on that altar, putting that bas, carving them out, grabbing the heart. What's this whole belief system? Why are they doing it?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Oh, wait a second. Are you saying that the Europeans only depicted that to paint the raza in a bad light?
Yes, I am definitely saying that.
So the paintings and them calling them savages, barbarians. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
That's a
because in the
different view.
beginning, when they described them, they described a clean people with a working and economy, great. What would you say?
Advanced civilization.
Yeah, advanced civilization. They were very clean. They were very organized.
They had
None
multiple
of that.
systems.
None of that shows any indication that these people were savages, were offing people just to for a god to bring rain to them. No, the only time you ever hear of a story that was like that was a story from the Mexica where they took the daughter of another chief and pretty much somebody said filleted her skin
Mm.
off and wore it, and then that's the only time you ever really hear something like that. But as far as like any well,
Sacrifices. There's no. So you're
sacrifices,
saying there's no human sacrifices
I would say there are
because
definitely
that's not the
punishment.
common view.
I would say there's punishment. Like any other society, you come up with rules, and when somebody breaks the big rules, you got to punish. I mean, we still practice that today. I mean, look at our government. We put people on death row, waiting for either to get a needle. But before that, we were either electrocuting them, or hanging them, or chopping the head off.
So you're saying they use that as a pretext to call the raza barbarians,
Yes, definitely.
and that they did not happen at all. Now that's not the common view, because 90% of theologians and scholars say that the Spanish arrived, but again, this is just because the Spanish were the ones that did the writings. If they burned all the
Exactly.
people's historical documents,
Yep.
whatever they wrote, it has to be taken at face value because they burned the raza's fucking knowledge and history.
Yeah. The funny part is that there's actually a Bible that was translated to Nawa, which actually they actually tricked the Spanish because they supposedly translated the Bible into Nawa. But in reality, when they found out what they actually wrote, it was actually the historical records of how the Spanish came to conquer them. And
Okay.
I thought that was wild that they did something like
Yeah.
that.
You know what? Here's something that's similar. If what you said is true, Norbeez, that the human sacrifices were just fake news, it's almost like when the Americans took over all the tribal lands in North America, and they instituted titles, deeds, and grants. Is very this system that the
Yeah.
Indians did not understand. Let's call them natives. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to
Yeah.
call them. The natives didn't
Yeah.
understand. Okay, they're not Indians. Indians
Yeah.
are from India. Forget
Yeah.
about it. The natives didn't understand that. How it didn't make sense to the natives of the land. How in the world is someone gonna own the land, the sky, the water, the
Yeah.
air, the clouds? It's just the land, and no one knows it. So they fandangled that almost in the same way, if what you said is true, by saying they're savages.
Yeah.
They're barbarians,
Hmm.
and they looked at them as inferior and used that to snatch up all the land. That's kind
Yeah.
of sounds the same, no?
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much.
Okay. Well, Marvelous is in the casa. He said, "Open up the lines, the phone lines. Like, are they're
Hey,
open
shout
now?
out to
Okay,
Marvelous.
323-457-8073.
What did you
Okay.
say?
Now we're getting to the colonization. Okay, here we go. Now we're getting to the colonization. So they arrive. Okay, who's the leader? It's Montezuma or Moctezuma,
Moctezuma.
and it was the second,
Moctezuma.
and it was the second, right? So they say that he was duped, and again, we're at this point in history. So now we're in the 16th century now. So we just covered in 1 hour 55 minutes. We covered 16 centuries, cabrones.
Damn.
Go back and listen to it. But it's Mexican Heritage Month. This doesn't get spoken about a lot. You know what I mean? This is not Cheeseman Tube today. We ain't shooting shot at podcasters or politics or nothing. This is something that's gonna make you proud. And I want you to rewatch it again and again. And if you have a second, hit the share button. That way people can hear this conversation as well. Okay, now we're there. Cortez shows up. He finds a Montezuma,
Yeah.
Norbeez. They
Yeah.
say that he thought that this is a common understanding that Moctezuma thought that Cortez was Quetzalcoatl,
Yes.
that he was the resurrection, the return, and that was the reason that he didn't go animal on him, savage on him, and just knock him out at the beach when they
Yeah.
showed up. Do
And
you
they
think
could
that's
have.
true, or do you think it's
Yeah.
false?
According to the historical record, there was a prophecy that was given to the Mexica that Quetzalcoatl would show up in the manner that Hernan Cortez showed up.
Mm, mm.
So
Do you
somebody tricked
think
them.
that's what he was under? Do you think he was under that impression then, or why was he?
Yeah, I definitely believe they were definitely under that impression because they definitely had strong beliefs as far as their culture and their beliefs, and definitely feel like they did believe it, or he did believe it. I definitely want to say his people probably did not believe it as much as he did, but he's the king, he's the chief.
Okay. And so I mean I believe Norbeez that I just have to put myself in their shoes. You know what I mean? Obviously, we're going to war with
Yeah,
neighboring tribes.
yeah,
Everything has been the way it is, right? It's an advanced civilization. The raza's happy, the raza's clean, everything is thriving and prospering. You hear before the colonization happened, you hear a very few épocas of like famine and hunger. You hear
yeah.
more of advancing, progressing, and
Yes,
growing, right?
yes, yeah.
And then here they come, the Spanish. Now, um, another thing that they brought with them was all of their diseases,
They
all of
did.
their diseases. So, would you say that the Spanish eran cochinos?
Oh, for sure. I mean, they didn't even live that long. I mean, that's the crazy part. That's why it always blows my mind. How is it that this little country, took over so much of the world? It doesn't make sense to me.
So,
But
what are
like
they
I s
doing? Are they bathing once a week?
once a month, once a month, yeah. But man, like I said, man, it blows my mind. It blows my mind that these
You know
guys
you wanna
survive so
laugh,
long.
cabrón. You just want me to
I
take
mean,
the heat. I'll laugh to take the heat from you, but anyway, that shit is
but it's just insane that how they adapted to their diseases. Like we didn't have those diseases, so
so they came
when
over here all crusty.
yeah, the crusty, dirty, herpes, gonorrhea. They had all the crappy
Oh,
stuff on
wait a
them.
second, stop already.
Yeah, bro, they were
Herpes,
dirty.
gonorrhea.
They had worms. That's why I said it's weird. I mean, they had to have. I truly do believe they had to have some sort of celestial help to do what they did. That's just me, though.
Okay, so some kind of a spaceship just started zapping the. I'm just kidding. You said celestial. The first thing that came to mind is Joe Rogan, UFOs, or anything like that. You know, it's interesting what you said about the four horsemen. Okay, obviously that's relaying it. That's going ahead and introducing a Bible prophecy.
Yeah.
Okay, over into this. So who did you liken to the four horsemen? You said the Spanish.
Yes, the
Okay,
Spanish.
so that part of Revelation to you is the Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
And you
deep.
and you know why I put that?
That's
Because,
deep.
like I said, at that time, the Roman Catholic Church was in control of Spain also. And
Mm,
as we all
okay,
know, the Roman Catholic Church comes from Italy.
okay.
And as
So
we all know,
the
their flag is red, white, and green.
yep.
Which three of the horsemen, their horses represent those colors. And I thought it
So
was funny that when what's it called? Been the one leader that Italy had a long time ago,
Mussolini,
Mussolini. Yes, yes, yes. His flag was black, which I would say represented the last horse,
the
which was
Pope.
black. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just stretching. Maybe I'm stretching. I'm reaching, but I
Mhm.
do find it odd that the colors that represent these horses are is
Mm.
the flag of that country, and
You're
that
finding a
church has
lot of
done that,
parallels.
that church has done a lot of damage worldwide on behalf
Are you
of
talking
that
about the
flag.
Church del Diablo?
The Catholic Church, yeah.
Oh, no, no, that's not the one I call El Diablo. See, there you go. Okay, now we're
Hey, have you been to the? Have you seen the pictures of the what do you call it? The Vatican. They got
I'm
that.
in
They
me and
got
the
that
wife
guy
here
all
in
over the place.
churches. We're like in churches because we work events too. We're like in churches
Yeah,
every single weekend. Okay. I don't
yeah,
understand none of the Latin and stuff like that. And I'm not offending anyone.
yeah, yeah.
It is what it is. When we say cochinos, are we better off colonizing or all this other gente? You already know how me and Norbeez get down, so cálmanse, okay? Anyways,
Hey.
so Norbeez, how is it that 500 people knock out over 1 million people?
Well, they had weapons, they had horses,
What kind of weapons?
they had steel swords.
Ooh,
They had steel
man, the
swords.
raza didn't have no steel.
They had steel armor.
Pistolas or didn't have rifles at that time?
I want to say, I
No?
want to say yes. I want to say yes, but that's a long shot right there. The live
Okay.
chat, if they could
If
correct
someone
me and fact check me on that one, that'd be great. But
if they had bullet
but
weapons
they
rather.
definitely had steel. They had armor that was also made out of steel. And
Mm,
again, in the Bible, who is the one? Who are the ones that taught humanity how to create steel, how to create swords? It's the angels, right? As
there
far
you
as
go.
you know, right?
You're
As far as we
getting
all
deep,
know,
Cabron. You're
the
getting
angels
deep
are the
on
ones
me.
that taught humans how to create steel, how to create armor.
Now, here's another thing. Tell me if this is a myth, Norbeez. We're at the colonial days. Hit that pinche like 1 hour in. Now we're in the 16th century. The history of our raza, the history of Mexico. And if you didn't know maybe what tribe you came from, but you know you have Mexican roots, here's a great map that shows you the predominant tribes in your state. So write that down. Take a second, write that down, and then you can go ahead and do your own research and hopefully the whole
Definitely
objective here is to instill pride in you.
know
That's
your
the whole
roots.
point of why we're
Hmm.
here.
Definitely know
Okay.
your roots. Talk to your elders. Ask them for the stories of their elders, and keep them with you and share them with others.
Okay.
As you guys, I don't know if you guys know, but Maggie did put the phone number down there. It's scrolling at the bottom of your screen. If you
Yeah,
guys,
323-457-8073. If you have an question, I just think they're just listening to the information because it's good. Now, Norbeez, some people say that the Spanish brought horses. That was one of their weapons that allowed them to conquer 500 people, took out over 1 million army. Is that true, or was there horses already here?
historically from fossils, there were a type of horse here. I'm not too sure if it was the same type
Because I had
that
researched
Europeans
somewhere.
use.
I had researched that horses come from that they originated from the area, the region of Saudi Arabia.
I've also heard the similar. From what I know, one thing I do know that was interesting that I have found out maybe like 2 years ago
Mm,
is that according to some fossils, camels were originally from these lands.
that's right. Marvelous minds in the casa. This is Mexica Land. Show. So we're gonna get to that.
That look is marvelous.
If we get to the 19th century tonight, then we'll talk about the Mexican American War and then
Ooh.
people's opinions if this is Mexico or it's not Mexico. It's funny, I just watched Mi Familia the other day,
Great movie.
and a great movie. And the great uncle that was born in California when it
California.
was Mexico.
All right, here we go with the caller. Let's see if this works. Caller, your name, where are you calling from?
Risky business.
Now, I don't know if Micah could hear you.
I can.
You could?
Yes.
Oh, all right, Risky. Go ahead, man.
Turn it up a little bit.
That's full blast. I think.
Okay.
What's up, Norbeez? What's up, Mikey? Buenas noches to both of y'all.
Buenas noches.
Hey, let me. I'm just gonna interject really quickly, before you guys move to a different time period,
Hey,
and let me fact check Norbeez really quick, so y'all don't continue with
if it's the
misinformation.
church thing, I had already said that you were right.
Yeah, no. That alongside with, because you know how Mikey was asking me right now, how is it possible that 500 Spaniards made the whole conquista, right? Possible. And the facts are that they did it alongside other tribes. And, well, to be specific, those tribes were the Zapotecs and the Mixtecas. Because those two tribes were in battle with not even in battle. The Mexicas were kicking these tribes' ass and kept them up in the mountain ranges, right? So when Cortés came in, those were the first tribes that he went at, and those are the first tribes that got conquered. Which is why the Parroquia de San Juan, which was established in the city center of Oaxaca, that's why, right? So that's why the history, and this is the history of Oaxaca, right? But if you look at the escudo of the state of Oaxaca, you'll see that they implemented the eagle with the serpent on top of the escudo, symbolizing that.
Mm.
So that's fact.
Okay, so that now I know why he has a chip on his shoulder for Norbeez, because he's saying Norbeez tribe helped the colonize. Is that what you're saying? He helped the colonizers?
Well, as far as I know, it was another tribe that the Spanish actually have on record as being their allies. They actually have a list of who helped them as far as, fighting the Mexicas. And I'm 100% sure there was never any mention of Zapotec or the Mixtecs in there.
Okay, but if a tribe helped the conquistadores, should we be looking down on them? Because obviously, if a tribe helped them, they're only doing it for their best interest, which is the tribes. They weren't doing it for the Spanish interest. Or am I wrong?
Actually, yeah, that's actually where I wanted to get to at one point, as far as comparing the nation of for the Mexica, I was going to try to compare them to, like, let's say the US. Like, we're good, right? But we all know the second where we become very weak, a lot of these countries are going to come after us, right?
Right.
And let's keep that one a buck. They're all waiting for us to collapse. They want us. They want us. They need us to collapse. That is how I would see the Mexica nation at the time. A lot of these other tribes,
they were dominant.
We're waiting for them to fall. And when the Spanish, but the Spanish didn't immediately use these tribes. They, at first, the Cortés had a relationship with Montezuma. They were being very courteous. They were meeting each other. They were having talks. Cortés would visit their home, and then they would just pretty much be what's the word? Not political, but they would be that one word where different nations come
diplomatic.
Together. Diplomatic. They were being very diplomatic with each other. Up until the point where they realized that maybe they're gonna need more people to take over these lands, because Hernan Cortés really wanted these lands.
But again, should we look down if we do find out which tribe helped the colonizer? Should we look down on that?
No.
I'll answer.
Yeah, go ahead,
I'll
Risky.
answer that question quickly. And I don't think so, bro, because look, that's just it depends where you lie at, right? Like me personally, I accept that as my history, right? There's nothing I can do about it. So I don't consider myself an indigenous person, right? I don't consider myself a colonizer per se, right? I consider myself a Mexicano, right? 100% Mexicano. And what that means is that's just accepting that I have both roots, right? I have indigenous through my mother, which are facts, and I have the Spaniard side through my father, right, which are facts. And denouncing either one would be hating myself, right? So I'm comfortable with who I am, and that's why I always say 100% Mexicano because that's facts. Now, the issue is this topic is good because you know the history, right? But in Mexico, Mexicanos don't have a beef with Spain, right? The beef is with the USA, and that stems from the Mexican American War, right? So we focus on the Revolution period, right? And the Pancho Villa era and all of that, which is the same, right? But pre and post that era, right?
Right.
But those are facts about the state of Oaxaca. And right, I mean, like I said, if you consider yourself to be indigenous and you can like prove that, then it is what it is. But to answer Mike's question, like, no, we shouldn't look down on that, man. Like, it is what it is. That's who we are, accept it or not. And if you don't, right, if you lean more one way to the other, which you know, it's really gonna be indigenous, right? Like that's you're gonna say I'm indigenous. Well, some people, right, and they're gonna denounce their Spaniard side. But por decir, then you're hating yourself. Like I said, there's some self hate there.
Hey, I appreciate the call, Risky.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate the call. Buenas noches.
Yeah, buenas noches, man.
Ándale, buenas noches. Yes, we
Ándale,
cut it up.
dale gas.
Ahí estamos.
Viva Mexico, cabrón. I'm gonna tell everyone that calls in Viva Mexico, cabrón. So
You know,
again,
I would definitely want those references from Risky Business as far, you know, go to my Instagram, send me those references where you saw that part where my tribe were the ones that helped the
throwing
Spanish.
Oaxaca under the bus.
I
There you go.
know.
No, it's okay. No.
Where's
Get,
the
this is how-
paperwork?
no one is censored. I don't block anybody. The only one that blocks people are my
right, here comes the
moderators.
call.
I got thick skin. I want to hear people's opinion. This is a freedom.
Caller, your name and where you're calling from. Oh, he hanged up. Okay, here comes another one. Caller, your name and where you calling from. Caller.
Norbeez, Caesar from Paris.
Caesar from Paris, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, man? How you doing, man? It's good to hear you.
We are doing blessed today, and I hope you're doing as well, and everybody out there.
Oh, you know me, man. I'm always doing
appreciate you,
the
sister.
job.
Wait a minute there. Now, do my ears deceive me, or is that El Mikey I heard in the background?
That is Chicano to Mikey.
I'm
right?
here, cabron. I appreciate you calling. Viva Mexico, cabron.
Hey, that's right.
Cabrón. Well, allow me to introduce myself. Chicano Street, Caesar from Paris.
That's right. Cesar from Paris is in the casa. What do you think about what we're talking about tonight? Let us know. Give us your 2 cents.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna give you 1.5 cents because I'm gonna tell you the truth. I just tuned in and I just seen Norbeez taco and eating ass on TV. I didn't even know you guys have a thing. I just tuned in. Now I'm seeing the split screen there.
Yes,
and I
sir.
gotta tell you something. I like the mix. You have the right amount of water mixed with the right amount of fucking Kool-Aid mix. It's perfect.
Hey,
I love it.
hell yeah.
Órale.
And on a side note, I wish I would have been more of a frequent caller with you, Mikey. But I gotta love it. I gotta love the gloss on your hair is immaculate. I'm gonna say that right off the top.
That's right. Hey, Pops used to use the
Now-
Tres Flores Brillantina.
Hey,
Yes, go. Well, let's call it what it is. It's brillantin. And when you know that, that's when you're a true OG, 3 flowers to the max. You know what? I just wanted to call in and still let Norbeez know we go way back.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
still here in the sidelines watching everything from afar, Norbeez.
appreciate you.
You guys together is great. Great concept. And I wish both of you guys the best.
Thank you, man.
Caesar from Paris. And I'm out.
Hey,
Woo! Viva Mexico, cabrón.
He's
That's
a great
right.
guy, man. He's a
Mexican
great guy.
Heritage Month. Again, the lines are open. Now we're coming up on the 16th century. So here comes the colonial days. Let's try to keep this going because I'm trying to get to the Revolución. It just happened on the 16th. So, anyways, long story short, they take over. Here it is. And there's a lot of things going on in the homeland también. Remember, France is another superpower in the world along with Rome. And all of a sudden, Napoleon hits Spain.
Yep.
They call us they call Mexico at that point, correct me if I'm wrong, they calling it a colony, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a colony of New Spain.
New
That's what it's
Spain.
called, right?
Yes.
Okay. So obviously people start interbreeding, right? And here
Yes.
comes Mikey. Okay. Here
Well,
comes Mikey.
it's interesting though because at that time you have the who are the Spanish, and then you have the Mexican born Spanish, or the new Spain born Spanish, and then you have I think they call them Creoles, which is an indigenous that's mixed with a Spanish.
Absolutely. And we're going to get to that because that was the hierarchy. O sea, that's what they were doing. A lot of people didn't even know this. Mexico had slaves. And there was two kinds of slaves in Mexico. Correct me if I'm wrong, Norbeez. One was the peasants.
Here comes Washington.
Go ahead.
Caller, your name and where you calling
That's
from?
obviously the hierarchy. Hello?
Yes, sir. Can you turn down your TV, please?
Yeah, I'll turn you guys down. Just listening to you guys. Can you hear me better?
Yeah.
How you guys doing?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Buenas noches. Viva Mexico, cabrón.
Que no. Yeah. Hey, shout out to you guys. Much love. Check out Norbeez on Marvelous. I called a few times. Always
you,
working
man.
on cars. Hey, I know you guys are getting to it. So de Leon, mama on birth certificate. Got no daddy. Trucking company, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
you know how it goes. We are not of this world, but of this world. So we got to be careful what we fall in love to. There's entities trying to get us. Everybody getting all infatuated, Anunnakis. Well, what about the Anahazi? So de Leon, you know what I mean? So anyways, we'll get to that. And, they got taken away from something. So they're trying to make us get taken away from something, all the way from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Surfing birds, blah, 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 blah. We all know the connection.
Yeah.
I want to kind of get to the fountain of youth, the kind of the de Leon. You know what I mean? Because you guys kind of get there. I just tuned in. I want to get off the phone. But let's get on the de Leon. Let's get on the fountain of youth just because so de Leon. And I kind of want to see what you guys got in mind of that fountain of youth. I kind of looked at my own little research, saw some things, saw some kind of how people were stepping on toes, throwing different names as if, oh, he's chasing the fountain of youth, he's chasing the wolf ticket. But actually, it wasn't. So there's so much more that I don't know that I want to touch, and hopefully you guys can expose more. And whenever I get time and I tune in, if I don't catch live, I'm going to catch up. You know what I'm saying? So Godspeed. Love you, brother.
You too, man. Appreciate you.
Okay, peace. I'm going to listen.
All right,
Bye.
thanks.
Viva Mexico, cabrón.
All right. Good.
Okay. I wasn't really, I heard him say de Leon.
Yes.
Is that so? Could you? What was his question again? I'm sorry. I think the tequila's kicking in.
I don't think it was more of a question. I think it was more him just
Statement?
stating his opinion as far as what people are looking into and what they should be looking into, and not what they're trying to tell them to look into. We have a anonymous caller. Are we taking that tonight?
I don't know. That's totally up to you, but we're gonna keep it pushing. But I'm sorry, caller. Can you comment your question? I'm sorry, maybe the tequila's kicking in, cabron. My bad, but I do want to answer your question. The last caller that called in right now, could you do me a favor if you're still listening? Be safe, cabron. Okay, if you're on the road, watch out, trucha. Okay, but if you can comment your last question, por favor. And what was the caller's last name? The last name of the caller?
Oof, I already forgot. My bad.
Come on.
But we do have another caller. Your name and where you calling from?
Hey, what's up? This is P Dog. I'm calling from California.
P Dog.
P Dog's in the casa.
Why you calling private, man? You don't want me to know your number. Oh, crap. Sorry about that.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Absolutely. You're crystal clear, cabron.
Okay. So, just a little request I got that whenever someone calls in and they start making claims, if you guys can ask them for to cite a source.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, like risky business. I need him to cite a source.
Like frisky business, yeah. But shout out to him though. He's cool, man. callers like himself and many others are what make these type of shows, I think, for me, that much more entertaining and stuff, you know? So I'd
Definitely.
say that's just, you know, fucking around, frisky business or whatever. But, and I think he is kind of like just maybe poking fun a little bit at the Zapotecos and all that, because that's also part of what I wanted to say is that, you know, my family, I got both of my parents are Mexicanos. From my father's side, they are from Oaxaca, over there in the area where they're still like Zapoteco.
Yes.
And then on my mom's, they're from Jalisco. So I cannot cite a source myself, but I can provide some anecdotal
Oh,
context to the conversation, and I can say like something between like on my dad being from Oaxaca,
yes.
he'd sometimes get into like a back and forth, a friendly, joking back and forth between him and another one of my uncles on my mom's side that's from Jalisco.
Mm.
So so what they would say was my dad would say que nosotros pues de allá de Oaxaca no nos dejamos de los españoles que nos conquistaran nuestras mujeres.
Mm.
And that's why we're still dark, you know, por eso todavía estamos morenos and, you know, a little bit shorter and all that.
Yeah.
So that was like his claim or whatever, that's why they don't look as European mix. So
Makes sense.
my you know, and that's anecdotal. There's no source for that, but that's what he grew up always believing over there, is that que no se dejaron ahí contra los españoles the way that other tribes did. And my uncle would he'd counter saying, no, es que lo que pasó es que cuando los españoles llegaron por allá en Oaxaca y vieron que estaban todos prietos y feos, dijeron, no, vámonos mejor a donde están las chicas están más bonitas allá en Jalisco, and where they're güeritas and fine and all that.
Yeah.
It was just like a joke between them, right? But I just for whatever it's worth, I add that in there. And at the end of the day, I think to Mexican Americans, kind of like myself, not me personally, but many Mexican Americans that live here in the United States, I kind of want to say that the American side of us is the side that takes shit too, like we get too butthurt or we get too like into it, because Mexicanos that are from Mexico, right, that are more Mexican,
Yes.
for them it's like it's puro, you know, it's just coteriando, they're just fucking around, they're just joking. It's like it is what it is. They don't take that shit so serious, you know what I mean? But whatever. But yeah, biggest thing I want to ask, I start asking people to cite some sources, because then they can actually add some good dialogue that can grow. You know what I mean? Because somebody listening here, let's just say Frisky Business called and cited some shit, like a real source, right? Someone else listening, they'll pick it up maybe a week later, who knows when later, but they can add to the conversation in that way. And
Yeah.
it's actually a dialogue that can grow versus everything just being where it just sounds like people are just talking out of their butts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you,
Ah,
Pete Dog. That's
you're right, man.
right, cabron.
Definitely. Appreciate that, Pita. Hells yeah.
All right, hey, a rato.
Hey, buenas noches, Viva Mexico, cabron.
Now, Mikey, I sent you a link in the private chat.
Okay.
I wonder if you'd be kind enough to like go into it and
Okay.
read
I'll click it. It'll open up another browser, right?
Yes, and
Okay.
there, if you scroll down to where it says history,
Okay.
and then
You wanna show something?
there's a paragraph that says after the Spanish. I don't know if you could see it.
Yeah, you want to show that?
If anything, if you could read it, that'd be great.
Sure. So, you know, let's see if the people can see it. Maybe we could.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Yeah, let's try to see if the people can see it. There it is. People can see it. So it says, after the Spanish conquest of central Mexico and the valley of Oaxaca, a Spanish force under the command of Diego Sandoval was sent north to the Sierra Mije to subdue the Mijes and the Chinantecs of that region. The expedition failed, and the Mijes remained unconquered. Hernan Cortez even mentions in his letters to the King of Spain that the provinces of the Zapotecs and the Mijes were the only ones to remain unconquered. Point blank. Is that your point right there, huh?
Oh yeah,
So, so the
in the
Oaxacas were the fiercest fighters. They
and
couldn't get
in that
conquered.
quote is his words. It's Hernan Cortez's words in
Ah,
that quote.
damn it. Are you just putting yourself on a
Uh,
pedestal,
no,
cabron? You're
no, no,
putting
no. But
Oaxaca on a
I want to
pedestal?
read this part that Hernan Cortez wrote about us. In the whole territory from one sea to the other, the natives served without complaint, save for two provinces which lie between those of Tecuantepec, Chinanta, Oaxaca, and Quetzalcoatl. In the middle of all four, the people of these two provinces are called the Zapotecas and the Mijes. Their land is so rocky that it cannot be crossed even on foot, for I have twice sent people to conquer them, who were unable to do so because of the roughness of the terrain and because the warriors are very fierce and well armed. Hernan Cortez, fourth letter to King Charles.
Damn it. Damn it. So does that disprove what Risky Business says that you guys allied with the
Yeah,
Spanish?
we definitely didn't ally with them,
Huh.
and that's why I
He's
want
gonna
to know
call back.
the
He's gonna
references.
call back. Watch. Okay, anyways, let's keep it going with the timeline, gente. Don't forget to hit that like on Run the Fade and hit that like on Chicano Street, man. We want to put out more videos like
Definitely,
this. It's Mexican Heritage Month. The
yes, sir.
colonization happened at the end of the day. Tenochtitlan, the beautiful, marvelous, spectacular city, was conquered. Okay, let's
Yeah,
go ahead and go a little bit more in the future now. Now, Spain is having problems now. There's wars everywhere. Matter of fact, they sent over for Hernan Cortez to return to Spain. Am I right? They told him
yes,
come back to Spain. They sent a viceroy. They sent word to him, hey, come back. I know
yeah,
you're trying to take the whole country. You
yeah,
got a small little region, but it's unlikely that you're going to take everything back. And we got another problem over here in Spain, and his name is Napoleon.
yeah,
Now, when Napoleon went into Spain, all of a sudden, that was an opportune time. It was an opportune time to be able to fight the Spanish, okay, and try to establish, and they ended up doing it, the modern state of Mexico.
well, I'm sorry. Let me interject before you go
No,
further.
no, no, go ahead.
I
Anytime,
just
cabrón.
wanted to clarify that at that time it was New Spain, and it did involve the territories that are in the United States now, and it did involve Central America being part of New Spain. So that was this. They were all still one, and then where Mikey is heading right now is pretty much where Central America divides itself from what it will become Mexico.
Mm.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go for it. Sorry
No, no,
about
that's
that.
fine. That's fine. And within that period, with the 1500s to the 1800s, here's a timeline. Within that period, which is the one that's right, that says 1521 to 1812, that's 3 centuries. One more year, and it'll be a complete 3 centuries. It says the Viceroyalty of New Spain forms parts with Mexico. So they've already identified them as Mexico, Mexicans coming from the tribe Mexica. If you didn't know that, now you know. The Spanish named Mexico. We didn't name it Mexico. The raza didn't name it Mexico, but the Spanish named it Mexico. Do you believe that?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was reading what
Yeah,
you
yeah.
put up there.
Wait, do you believe the Spanish are the ones that named the country of Mexico based on the Mexicans, which were the Mexica tribe?
No, I think it was partially also with the Creoles at the time that had something to do with it also.
Okay, but the name, I don't think the name, did the name come from the people?
I like to think it did because
Mm,
honestly it doesn't really make sense for the Spanish to use
mm,
a different word. I mean they would come up with something for that represents their language,
okay.
not the language of the people of that land.
Gotcha. So here's the Spanish now. They've been embattled for many now centuries. They're fighting France. They're fighting on the fronts of Mexico. There's still a lot of tribal warfare. It doesn't seem to be advancement going on. This is the country of Mexico, and this is the time where we could capitalize on them. And that's exactly what happened. A lot of people didn't know this. It wasn't just the Spanish that invaded Mexico. The French also invaded Mexico, cabrones. So the Spanish came, and then the French came because Napoleon he was a very smart general and tactician. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, France is small,
Yeah.
but when you got the right strategy, war, weapons, tenacity, you're gonna start conquering shit.
Yeah.
So they came over also as well. And I believe it was in the year 18, I think it was either 1821 or 1824. Now let's get to this finally. So we
Wait,
can,
I just want to make sure. No,
well,
not to clarify. Napoleon was an emperor, right?
I'm not sure.
He was the emperor of France, as far
Okay.
as I know. Napoleon.
You know, to me, he's like another como
I don't
se
think he
dice?
was. I don't think he was like a president or anything. I think
Yeah.
he was the
What was
emperor.
the name of that Mongolian war chief?
Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan. To me, he's like a Genghis Khan because he's conquering.
Yes, definitely.
You know, sometimes
And
most of the times these warriors are not into the politics.
I
You know,
do.
kind of.
I do want to read a
Oh.
comment by Marvelous. It said, "No, that's a lie. They didn't name us. We had that name after our tribal leader, Meshi."
Marvelous is in the casa. Marvelous minds. I appreciate you, carnal. No, that's a lie. They didn't name us. We had that name after our tribal leader, Meshi.
Meshi. There you
Ah,
go.
that's right. There's something else that I researched. Oh, I think it had to do with the word Aztec. Yeah, it said the Aztecs are believed to be, you know, a northern tribe, hunters and gatherers who migrated south to central Mexico. According to their origin, they left their homeland Aztlan after the Toltec Empire fell. They met other wandering tribes in Teoculhuacan, where they acquired their patron god, Huitzilopochtli, also known as Meshi. So my question is this: is that true? Is Meshi another name for Huitzilopochtli, or isn't it? Because again, I just got this off the internet. I
Yeah.
don't know. You know what I mean? Or is it like Marvelous said? It's just a name we knew always because we were Mexica. O sea, that tribe was Mexica.
Yeah. I like I said before, I definitely, when it came to naming the I guess at that point it was in the empire, right? The Mexican Empire, right? Is that what it was
Imperial
referred to?
something, right? Well,
Mexican
well, let's
Imperial.
go forward. Let's go forward over to that because now Mexico has been formed. We finally went ahead and whooped that ass. Again,
Hey,
I'm not deciding on this side or that side. You guys know when I'm being humorous, it's don't get offended, cabrones. They
yeah,
whooped that ass. Okay, the raza whooped that ass. Well, technically, the raza now has been formed because it's two bloods. Okay, that
yeah,
forms the raza. Okay, they whooped that ass. Now the modern state and country of Mexico has been established. Let's go ahead and round second base and get to third base and talk about the independence that just happened, Norbeez.
yes.
To your understanding, what was the whole independence war, the revolution about?
Well, I think the Independence Day was brought upon by that a I want to say a priest
Mm,
who pretty much was the one that had a rally, created an extremely encouraging speech, which eventually birthed the Grito de Dolores.
okay.
And I forget his name though. He's definitely a priest. He's the
Oh,
one.
Father Miguel Hidalgo,
Hidalgo. Yeah, there you
the
go.
city of Dolores.
He was the one that made that speech and
Why was
created
there a
the Grito.
need for a revolution?
Why was there any? They were tired of the Spanish having so much control. I mean, one thing that from what I remember is that the when with the Spanish, where they messed up when it was New Spain, it was because they had discovered a huge silver mine, and when they discovered this huge silver mine, they flooded the economy with it. As we all know, when you flood the economy with a bunch of money, it
Mhm.
starts to fuck things up.
Damn.
Like, there's so much of it now that everything is either cheaper or has less value. So it destroyed the New Spain's economy. It even went to the point where it destroyed China's economy. But that's another story. And basically, they needed to have a revolution because the Spanish that were in control at the time were just destroying the economy.
Mm,
Nothing was happening.
mm,
It was just being chaotic. it was what the French. It's pretty much what the conquistadors, narrated to the king in their time now. It was bad. Crime was up. People were poor, and it was all because of the new Spain government
Mm.
at the time.
Now,
So
I don't know if this is a correction, but at this point, when you're talking about Mexico now is formed, okay, 1821, I think it's 1821, when
mhm,
Mexico is formed. At this point, there's no point, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. There's no point of even calling them the Spanish or Spain because now you have centuries of intermingling, interbreeding, and
yeah,
hence here came the raza.
yeah,
Mikey's here, right?
yeah,
So I don't think at that point they're identifying as the Spanish, the Spanish. So I don't think it was the Spanish that was ruling and oppressing anymore. I just think it was the basic economy of
yeah,
the country that was shot to shit. There was
yeah,
a system, correct me if I'm wrong. There was a system, and the system basically didn't have a middle class. And the only ones that had power in Mexico at that time, when the country was formed in 1821, were the landlords of these haciendas.
Uh, I don't know if the haciendas had already been established at that time.
Oh, they were. I'm pretty confident that the hacienda system was already established.
Really?
There was it was either you're rich or you were poor, and this is going from the 18th
Yeah,
century all the way to the end of the 1800s,
yeah,
even into the beginning of the 1900s. That system was already in place, and because of that, o sea, because of the rich get richer, they already started having presidents.
yes.
So they started basically Mexico did this, but correct me if I'm wrong. They kind of mimicked the American US system. Constitution,
Mhm,
laws, freedom of speech, equal rights,
yeah,
trading, the economy, all of that. Even though I think Mexico's constitution came out, maybe 20, 30 years
before.
after the country was formed. But I believe the hacienda system and that there was no middle class, they were taking the land from the peasants.
Yeah. From what I know is that when this Mexican this new Mexico was born, it was run under a monarchy. There is actually a king of Mexico. There
New
was no
Mexico.
president yet.
What do you mean, New Mexico?
Not New Mex, not the state, but this new creation of Mexico
The
after New
country,
Spain.
1821.
So after New Spain, now we have this country, not even in country, because I think in Empire of Mexico, but it was actually a monarchy where they started off with.
Mm,
Mexico had a king.
mm.
He was Spanish descent, but Mexican born.
And
Uh,
what you said is right. These Creoles that are like another word for royalists, they're owning all the land and they're taking it from the peasants. And then from there, birthed the revolution because the people got tired.
yes,
And
the
when the
people got
people, yeah, when the people got tired, here came for the first time in the history of the history. Here's the first norteño, and
yeah,
here's the first sureño. Okay,
yeah, yeah,
this is the first norteño. Okay, was Pancho Villa.
yeah.
Okay,
So
he was.
that's the Mexican Revolution. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Well, we're already passing 1800s. Let's get into the 1900s because again, what birthed the revolution is
Well,
what we're talking about.
I want to stay back. That revolution. Well, oh wow! So you jumped to the
I
Mexican
jumped ahead. I
Revolution.
jumped to the 18th century because obviously when Spain came 1519, it
Mhm.
didn't take them about 2 years to go ahead and conquer the land. And all they were doing is trying to spread their wings, but
Yeah,
Spain couldn't spread their wings corner to corner in the
yeah,
country.
yeah.
They couldn't take
Okay.
over the whole country. So they did what they could for a while. But
Yeah,
Spain, the motherland, is getting tired of them.
yeah,
Then they get invaded by Napoleon.
yeah,
Hundreds of years pass.
yeah,
And now the people have already been birthed. The raza
yeah.
is born.
Mm-hmm.
Spanish blood and Mexican blood. We
Mm-hmm.
fast forward to the 18th century. Mexico becomes a country. But
Yes.
then fast forward a couple more decades. a
Yeah,
couple
you're
more
fast
decades.
forwarding a lot of
Yes,
decades.
I'm fast forward because cabrón, we've been on here an hour 39 minutes.
Well,
Man.
I wanted to be there because that definitely plays an
Break
important
it down
role.
then. Break it down.
Because when there was a king of Mexico in the beginning, that was when we were trying to annex. Mexico was trying to annex Central America to stay part of what used to be New Spain, now be part of Mexico. So when that whole fight between the Mexicans and the Spanish happened, which was the revolution, the Central Americans were still the place is controlled by I guess the Spanish was controlling Central America at the time were debating whether they should annex themselves to Mexico or stay or become independent.
Mm,
Uh, Eventually, that emperor, the guy that based his whole movement towards everybody being equal and sharing the land and sharing the wealth. He ended up doing the opposite. He started spending like crazy. He started defaulting. The crime went up again, and
you're not
everything
talking
was
about
bad.
Diaz, are you?
No, 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 no.
Okay.
I'm talking
That's
about
fast forward.
the first king of Mexico, which you know what? Let me look up his name just so we could
Yeah, yeah. He actually looked very Spanish. You know what I mean? He's dressed in those Spanish garments and stuff like that. He didn't do too much. He didn't do too much. But if you want to give that history, that's fine. I was already getting to
his name
I'm trying to get to the independence, cabrón.
his name was Agustin Agustin. It doesn't even show his last name.
Iturbide?
Yeah, Iturbide. Agustin. Wait, where the frick is his last name? Well, they call him Maximilian, but it was where the hell is his first?
Okay.
Well,
Again,
his first name is Agustin. It was Iturbin, something like
I
that.
thought it was Iturbide.
Iturbide, yes, Iturbide. Which funny that it is when this guy, left Mexico because they ran him out or he chickened out. He
Mhm.
ended up going to Italy.
Chingado.
But
So
this guy fucked up so much that the Spanish people that were running Central America decided to declare themselves independent from Mexico and kept to themselves.
gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
that part.
That part. Let's fast forward a little bit, Norbeez. Don't forget to hit that like, you guys. If you're watching on Run the Fade or you're watching on Chicano Tube, Chicano Street, I appreciate you guys. This is a substantial. We ain't talking cheese met tonight. No, we ain't pulling out palomitas. It's Mexican Heritage Month. This country wants to twist it around. It's Latinx month. It's Hispanic. No, it's not. And so if everyone wants to join, they can join. That's fine. We're not bumping heads on none of that, but it's Mexican heritage. So we're talking Mexican history. Let's fast forward, Norbeez. The whole revolution. La Independencia, el 16 de septiembre, you gave some about it. It basically came down to two things. It came down to the constitutionalists and it came down to the conventionalists. The constitutionalists was the president and his hierarchy, but again, there was a lot of oppression in the country.
Yes.
There was a lot of poverty. Matter of fact, 80% in that time, Norbeez, 80% of the land was owned by these hacienda landlords, viceroys, royalties, whatever you want to call them, 80%. And the majority of that land was stolen from the people.
Oh, yeah,
It's almost
definitely.
a similar thing that happened to the natives in North America with los gringos, los americanos, right?
European Americans, yep.
So the constitutionalists, that's where Emiliano Zapata and Pancho Villa. So I mentioned
Oh,
this.
wait. I think those guys come later on.
Yeah. Well, Pancho Villa, he actually was part of the constitutionalists before he stepped down. And again, these are all presidents that were bumping heads. That's all it was. Mederos was bumping heads. He was bumping heads with Carranza. Carranza didn't like Mederos, and then Mederos didn't like Diaz, etc. But here came the first norteño and the first sureño. The first norteño being Pancho Villa, because his army was actually called the Division del Norte.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Pancho Villa. And Emiliano Zapata, the first sureño, his army was actually called the Southern Liberation Army. But of course, it's in Spanish. Okay, I'm saying it in English, right?
Yeah.
What's cold about it is these presidents got whacked.
Yeah.
Just like Pancho Villa got whacked.
Yeah.
Just like Pancho Villa, he was ambushed in traffic. Okay, they got him driving down the car. They stopped the car. They ended up a bunch of riflemen surrounded the car in the middle of the street, and they put more than 40 bullets in him.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
cold setup.
Dang, you really jumped in time.
I'm jumping in time because, man, we're coming up on 2 hours, cabron. Okay, you want to get there's the 17th century, in the 18th century.
Yeah.
I mean, in the 18th century,
You
U.S.
totally
had a lot.
skipped Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, the Battle of Puebla, that's fine, but I mentioned that the French came, but it was temporary. The French didn't establish like the Spanish established.
Mm,
The French came in, they stuck their chest out, but they ended up getting whacked. Okay,
Yeah.
now they won the Battle of Puebla, Cinco de Mayo, but they ended up losing other battles after that.
Well, interestingly enough, it wasn't only the French that were there. At that time, aside from the French, it was the English and it was the Spanish, and I want to say it was also the Germans that were also docked, ready to support France as far as invading Mexico.
So we knocked them out Cinco de Mayo. But again, I'm fast forwarding a little bit because we're trying to cover something even more modern if we can get to it.
All right.
Emiliano Zapata, I mentioned Pancho Villa, he was
Yes.
whacked. Emiliano Zapata, he was whacked too. He
Yeah.
was actually set up by a close friend to go to a meeting at a hacienda.
That was on him too. He knew his own rules and he broke his own rules for this guy.
Damn. So he went to a hacienda. It just reinforces my fact that was the system.
Oh, we
Once
got a caller.
go ahead.
Caller, your name? Where are you calling from? Caller,
Yeah, what's up, man?
how's it going,
What's up,
man?
Norbeez?
What up, man?
It's all right, all right.
You're on with Mikey Chicano too.
Viva Mexico, cabron.
Hey, what's up, Mikey? It's this Red Dog.
Hells
Red
yeah.
Dog, I appreciate you, carnal. What you got to say? Give us your 2 cents, cabron.
Nah, well, now I'm just listening up, and it seems like there's a lot of misinformation and stuff. Like the history's kind of crazy, you know?
Mm.
Speak on it.
Yeah. Well, the first of all, damn, I don't even know where to start, man. It's crazy. Well, I like the stuff. I like Marvelous and stuff, but all that stuff that he says about all that, what is it? About the Hebrew Israelites and all that stuff. It's all BS, you know.
Mm.
And that has nothing to do with native people and the history with Spain. It was the Tlaxcalan Indians that helped out the Spaniards.
There you go.
And then as they went, they started recruiting other tribes. Once they conquered them, they became Catholic and they became part of Spain under the King and Queen of Spain. In 1821, when the people from New Spain they freed from and they became Mexico, they started they started attacking the Spanish and they kicked them out and then they like the Southwest, basically the Southwest, California, Arizona, and all that is the border of New Spain. It has nothing to do with Mexico. Mexico was only a ruler from 1821 to 1848 when the United States took over and they did the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo.
Mm.
You know,
That's
so
right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I'm kind of nervous though, but I'm just trying
Ah,
to.
you're doing
like,
great, man. You're doing great.
Yeah. So, other than that, man, everything's cool. Just want to say a little bit like that, and in a good way,
Hells yeah.
No, absolutely,
Yeah.
carnal. Hey, Viva Mexico,
Yeah.
cabron.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, man. Go for it, man. Take care.
I appreciate
Ándale,
you.
cuídate.
Ah, pues.
All right, man.
Ah, pues.
Peace.
Bro, I love it that people are calling us with their facts, their info, and it gives me a lot of hope that
Yeah.
our culture, our people, we're hungry for this. We want this. We want to be stronger with the knowledge of our past.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of pochos that are second, third, fourth generation, born in the United States. No saben nada. I mean, even the language is gone, but it is what it is. And they don't know anything. All they know is that their grandparents were from a state in Mexico. And at least with this video, something substantial, they'll be able to at least tap in or know of their native roots. But just like the caller said right now, in 1821, the War of Independence, it finished with the making of the short Mexican Empire. You were right, Norbeez, when you
Mm.
called it an empire, which incorporates Central America towards the southern boundary of Costa Rica in the modern age. And in 1824, Mexico becomes the federal republic.
Mm. There you
Central
go.
American provinces separate. So in
Yeah.
1824, the Central American provinces, they separate, becoming Honduras. Shout out to all the Hondureños,
Hey,
Costa Rica,
hey,
Nicaragua, Guatemala, and El Salvador. So they
hey.
split off
Yeah.
about 1824. Okay. And then in 1836, the former region, it was just a region of Texas at this point. Let me put the timeline up so that people can read along. In 1836, the former region of Texas at this point, progressively populated by English speaking Americans, withdraws after a war proceeding to join the United States 9 years after. And here comes 1846 to 1848, the Mexican American War. It closes with Mexico being compelled to sell its northern areas, counting modern time California, Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona, and Utah to the U.S. Let me ask you this, Norbeez. Historians say they sold it. Historians say they lost it in the war. Does that land still belong to Mexico or not?
That land, and like all the rest of the land, belong to the people of that land, in my opinion. But I guess if you want to be like,
Technical.
which technical, whose country, yeah, it definitely belongs to Mexico, 100% on that. Because unfortunately, every man has a price, and that Santa Ana guy was a fucking idiot and a sellout.
He won some battles, though. You got to give Santa Ana. Calmate,
Nah, man, he's a
No,
fucking idiot. I
he
would have,
won
I
some
would have
wars.
died and give up that land.
No,
But,
he won. He won at least 2 or 3 major battles to the point where they wanted him to become president, and he became president because he was a great leader. Everyone loves to have a great warrior to be a great leader for the country, but in the end, they were battle weary, cabrón.
I think they executed him, right?
Chinga, Mexicanos are cold, man. We'll just whack you. You know, if we don't like you and you're running for president,
I mean, when you lose
we're
that
not
much
going to
land,
try to murk you. You know,
when
you're
you
going to
lose
end
that
up
much land
like
with that
Chalino.
much resource in it. Yeah.
So, anyways, what are we talking about? Man, hit that pinchy like, man. I think we should
Hells
turn
yeah.
off the pinchy lines now. I don't even know if we should keep them going, but okay, I'm trying to cover everything, Cabron. Here we go.
We're doing
Here we-
good. We're doing great. We're doing
We're doing great. So the revolution is birthed because the people are poor. The rich get richer. The poor get poorer. There is no middle class. Here comes Zapata. Here comes Pancho Villa. Ultimately, like you said, Father Miguel Hidalgo, yeah, he gave the grito, but that's all he did. Because I believe that Miguel Hidalgo, he also had, he wasn't a perfect human, right? The Catholic Church didn't like him because he kept knocking up women.
Yeah, just to clarify though, Hidalgo was way before Pancho Villa and Zapata.
Yeah, we're jumping centuries. The grito, right? But it birthed it. So even if they, because they killed him, they killed everyone, cabrón, Mexico, man. Cálmate.
They do.
Just stay in the tourist areas, gente. No, I'm just kidding. They whacked him. They whacked Pancho Villa. They whacked Zapata. They whacked most of the presidents. And then we're coming up to, of course, the revolution, which was 10 years after Zapata and Pancho Villa got taken out. All that did was stir up the people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the guy in power at the time was Porfirio Diaz.
Yeah, it's my apellido, man. My great grandfather, Porfirio Diaz and shit. No, I'm just kidding. No, he was bad because I think he was a sellout.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I don't know. I mean, you know what? He was a mixture of Mixteco and French. I
What are you trying
mean,
to say?
it all really depends on perspective, because I don't know if you know, but the
Fuck
French
them 'cause he's
love the
French.
guy.
Just kidding.
They love the guy. They appreciate him for his efforts and everything that he did for the French that were there and the Spanish that were there. He gave them land. He gave them haciendas. He gave them resources. Diaz was their best friend.
Yeah.
So again, depending on your perspective, If
Yeah.
you're like me, indigenous, you hate the guy. You're
Mm.
glad they buried him in the shithole corner in France.
Gee wait. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, all right. So that's the whole revolution in a nutshell. It was a 10-year period from 1910 to I believe about 1920 until finally it just again the grito kicked it off September 16th. That's why that historical date is one of the proudest dates in Mexican history. Okay, just to keep this a buck, Mexico, they don't celebrate Cinco de Mayo. Okay. They don't, that's not that's an American holiday where it's just about buying modelos and emptying out the liquor store and catching DUI. So cálmase, okay. Mexico does celebrate September 16th though, because that's its independence, its revolution. I'm sorry, from a tyranny, a system that was just gonna keep them oppressed. We're in the 20th century now, cabrón.
Mm.
He's just reading the comments.
You
Oh,
can
man, that's crazy.
tell.
If you go to war and lose, can you still claim something? That's an interesting
Your
question.
dignity, your
Dignity,
pride.
your pride.
You can still claim those.
You know what? Pesadilla just corrected me. He says Cinco de Mayo is celebrated in Puebla. That's where the battle took place. I could be wrong. I apologize if I'm at to all my Pueblans. Okay. If you guys celebrate it, that's cool. They did lose more battles after that, but eventually won enough to get the French out of there. Okay. We couldn't do it to the Spanish until the Spanish invaded. I'm sorry, until the French invaded Spain. Then it weakened all their forces. And then it was an opportune time to see, like, okay, the raza is birthed, the raza is formed. Now we got to take over. And here came the country of Mexico and the revolucion. I think this is the last thing that I wanted to touch on was getting to a Mexican Independence Day. And we got there.
Yeah, we definitely got there, and it's a good thing too, because I mean, we
A lot
couldn't
to
let the
cover.
Spanish control so much, and then the French trying to control, and the English and the Germans.
Emmanuel G40 says Porfirio Diaz brought the railway and the telephone line to Mexico, welcoming Mexico to the modern world, keeping up with the faster paced commerce and communication. Absolutely true. Porfirio Diaz was the president to modernize Mexico because he did have that vision. There was a lot of things he didn't execute on, okay? And the economy couldn't get better because they've just been in wars for decades and decades. And then in the United States, when the Depression hit, they kicked all the Mexicans out.
I do want to clarify one reason why I don't like Diaz, mainly because he was the one that set up the coup against my fellow tribesman, which is Benito Juarez.
Okay.
He's also a Zapotec, also probably known as one of the greatest Mexicans. Somebody's got to change their battery. He was also known as one of the greatest presidents in Mexican history, and Diaz was the one that set up the coup and used the military to push out Juarez. Diaz's argument was that he didn't like presidents getting more than one term, which it was pretty much guaranteed that Benito Juarez was going to get a second term. But because Diaz did not like presidents getting second terms, what he did was set up that coup to push him out of power and put himself in that power. And then the funny part is that he ended up running 6 terms. The guy that set up a whole ass coup because he didn't like a president running for more than one term, ended up running 6 terms. That's like 36 years he was in power.
Yeah, I think there was one Mexican president that actually ran for 11. He had 11 terms. I don't know if they were just 2-year terms. I think they were short, right?
We got another caller. Did you want to take it? Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
They hanged up. Never mind. They hanged up.
Okay, that's fine.
Right.
That's
but
fine.
We'll take the next one. But yeah, 11 terms. Yeah,
there was one president that I can't remember his name. I could Google it. But it was, I think he was 11 times voted Mexican president. Maybe someone in the comment section will fact check it and will let us know. But we got 5 minutes. We're coming up on 2 hours and 5 minutes. Gente, is Mexican Heritage Month.
Caller, your name and where you calling from?
It's risky business again.
Shout out to El Boo Boo. What's that risky business? Shoot your
Dime.
2 cents.
Hey, it seems like this whole conversation is going like the Spaniard way, the Spaniard side way. But if you care to give it some contrast there at the end, and if you care to speak on, as a Mexicano, accepting, right, our indigenous side and our Spaniard side, how much we should also accept not only Christianity, but maybe also spirituality, right? And or if that's an exception when it comes to the religion practices of what we claim to be our people, right? Because I believe that as a Mexicano, we would have to embrace that as well.
Well, you have to,
right? Well, I'm saying that, right? But maybe you could touch on
Elaborate.
that on the end, like I said, and ask Mikey the question: who he's fighting with, Norbeez?
As far as what?
As far as the hypothetical Mexican American war.
Okay, I'll answer that. Are you gonna stay on the line or
Yeah, I can stay on the line if you want.
Okay, perfect. Let me give my 2 cents as far as religion goes. This is why these pinchy lives are great. I love feedback from the people. Risky's been one of the ones that's at least stirs up the conversation, is gonna have you thinking. So, gente, I'm asking you, and I'm gonna answer it. We know that we're native and we know that we're Spanish. We know one of the things, the most profound things that the Spanish brought over to Mexico was the Bible. Okay, so the Protestant Bible, right? Exactly, which a lot of people believe in. Some people don't, because a lot of the times when people saw, like during the Crusades in American history, when they saw that cross, they knew there was bloodshed coming. So some people have a bad taste in their mouth because of that. Me, this is what I think as far as religion is concerned. Absolutely, you should embrace your roots. Absolutely. And at the same time, me, I have Christian convictions. And so I also embrace that. I'm not gonna lie and fake the funk and let you know that I embrace like different deities or spirituality when it comes to Native. No, I don't. I really 100% embrace Native. And then I'm sorry, Christian beliefs. And then let me also answer this. Risky Business asked me one time, if Mexico were to go to war with the United States, Mikey, who would you lace your boots up for? And it made me think. I was like, chingado, this guy asks really, really good questions. And at the end of the day, you can call me what you want, but it's got to be one, right? I can't cut myself in half, like Solomon cut the baby in half. No, I can't do that. At the end of the day, I would have to lace my boots up for the United States. Because again, my parents almost died to get to this land. And that was just to give me and my sister better opportunities. And I believe if I fought against it, they'd be rolling over in their graves, because they knew, even though they're Mexican, they knew this was the land that it was at least going to give me the most opportunities. And a lot of the raza joins the armed forces because of the benefits, etc. But that's just my answer.
There you go.
Norbeez, there you go. Because look, check it out, Mikey. I asked Norbeez this question a few lives back that he did, right? And he's under the impression that people would actually fight for Mexico, right? As opposed to yourself. And I was telling him, just based on this question that I've been asking right for a minute, I find out that we could talk the talk, right? And we could have the discussions, but when it comes down to like the real nitty gritty, it's people are gonna side with the U.S., right? And nothing wrong with that, but that's just an observation, that I've done when it comes to the topic. But Norbeez was thinking that it's maybe going the other way.
Oh, well, tell the truth, Risky. Tell the truth, cabron. You're calling me a traitor, way.
No, not at all, bro. No,
Cut it out, way.
because you're keeping it real, bro.
I am.
Yeah, you're keeping it real. You know what I mean? And your lives, right, and your answers and your topics reflect that, right? So if you were to say Mexico, I'd be able to tell that you're lying. But right now, I can tell that you're keeping it. You're keeping it 100.
That's right.
You know,
I
and
appreciate
like I
that.
said,
Cabrón.
and like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just when it comes down to that, it's interesting.
That's right. Hey,
But,
gracias for ending it with that. That was a really
what
good
do you-
contrast.
What do you think about the whole spirituality, Christianity thing there, Norby?
Well, as far as that, I'll tell everybody, as long as you love that flag, appreciate it, hold it close to you, you are accepting Catholicism. Because let me remind you people that that white part of that flag represents Catholicism. That is exactly what
It
it
does?
is. 100% Catholicism. So
Yeah, it does.
not to mention that Catholicism is Mexico's official religion. That's their law.
Right.
You have to
Right.
be Catholic.
That was an adopted
You
religion.
don't have to.
I mean, if you're
It's
you're
not the
saying,
native religion.
if you're saying you're Mexicano, you automatically agree that that is your religion because that is your
That's fact,
flag.
too.
If you
Yeah, you're right.
respect that flag, that is your religion. That's just the way it is. Being part of that system, being part of that nation, you accept that the land, the blood, and the religion, which is Catholicism. So
Norbeez is a pagan.
Right.
this is why I tell you. This is why I tell people that you really got to understand what that flag means. It's not just a nation; it's your spirituality. So some people might start
You're right.
considering, wait a minute. So by me loving that flag means I have to be Catholic. Maybe I don't want to be Catholic. And then maybe I don't want to be Mexican. And that's your choice
Let me-
because you need to understand that that is what that flag represents. It's like if you're waving the pride flag, what does that mean?
I don't know nothing about
That's
that.
right.
That means you're part of that. That's you.
No,
Same thing
Clarissa
with
had a good
this-
comment. Look what she
Oh.
said. Clarissa commented, so you would kill your own people because USA has a better economy that is selling out. Chingado. You know what? I'm open to it. Tell it like it is, Clarissa. You hear, you can tell it like it is.
Hey, Norby,
Yes.
you know what I find out? Everything you said is fact, bro, and I agree, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I say that as a Mexicano, the religion or the spirituality, whatever you guys want to call it, that applies to a Mexicano, which, I'll speak for myself, is the culto of the Santa Muerte, because that is the definition in spirituality and Christianity that pertains to us as Mexicanos. The Santa Muerte, because, right, it has the indigenous roots, right, of the Mexica people, and then it has the modern Catholic roots as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
look it up. Look it up. And me personally, that's my religion. That's who I pray to the Santa Muerte. Because as a Mexicano, that's what pertains to me.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Hey,
Yeah,
real
I
quick,
can
before you
respect
go,
that.
risky business. You heard Norbeez bring up, or we brought up a Wikipedia article that said the Zapotecs couldn't be conquered. A letter from who to who, Norbeez?
Hernan Cortez.
Okay. So what do you think about that? Do you retract what you said that the Zapotecs helped the colonizers?
No, not at all. And I'm actually glad you asked that. I wouldn't trust that source. First of all,
I'm glad he said that.
If I'm reading it or if I'm hearing it in English, I wouldn't trust it automatically, right?
Yeah.
But if you actually go to the sources or to the source of actual libraries, right?
Yeah.
Library articles
Yes.
from Mexico,
Mhm.
then that's where you should get it from, and as well as the actual history of the state, right? So if you look up the history, right, in Mexico, right, not from Google or some shit like that, right, where you could Google it, but again, you got to cross-reference that shit.
Yeah, of course.
From Mexico, then you'll find out what the actual history of Oaxaca is,
Mhm.
and it'll be in fact what I told you, not that paper that or whatever you're reading from Google.
Yeah.
Hey, Risky, they're calling you in the comment section. You got a new nickname. They're calling you Risky Muerte.
Oh, okay.
That's
Well,
a
I'll
here
bad
take it.
one.
I'll
That's a
take
bad
it.
one. He
and
might change.
here
He might
and
change his YouTube handle to that. That's a
and
good one.
he does have a
You know,
point.
well, look, check it out.
He does have a point where, to the
Well, look,
fact, I do want to say this. There is definitely a site on there that you could reference that actually leads to Hernan Cortez's letter to the king. And also, I do want to add that the letters from Hernan Cortez to the king of Spain is not in Mexico's history. It's not in their records because it was in Mexico at the time. It was Hernan Cortez was part of the Spanish,
yeah, it was
country.
not España
So
for sure.
that was between them. So you wouldn't find his letters in Mexico's history. You would find them in Spanish history, in Spain's history, because that is a letter
So
that he wrote directly to the king.
well, check it out. So then by default, what you're saying is that you do agree with the letters that Hernan Cortez wrote about the human sacrifices. Is that what you're saying? So what you're saying is that if you see a source that says that Hernan Cortez wrote this, right? Because if you're taking it for this, you have to take it for that as well.
No,
Or
I
do you
don't.
actually want to take?
No, I don't. I could
Yeah,
definitely
you do.
say I could
Yeah, you
definitely
do.
say that he lied about that part.
Oh, okay.
Mostly because mostly
what you
because he
want.
doesn't have evidence, and where we do have evidence to the point where my tribe and the land that they have is still theirs, and they claim it, and the Mexican government cannot claim it. That's
Yeah,
my
I
that's
would.
my
I
proof
would.
as far as that. But you tell me where Hernandez Cortez proof of the sacrifices are.
In the same letters. In the same letters
No,
that
but
he
I'm
wrote.
asking for proof. I'm asking mine is actual tangible proof. There's land. There's deeds. There's paperwork that says this is my people's lands, not Mexico's land.
There
Yeah,
you
well, if
guys
you
go. I
look
think
it
you guys
up
are
and you
continuing something that you started on Run the Fade. That's what you guys are doing. You guys are continuing a conversation that you started. Hey, but Risky's always coming with the contrast questions. I
Yes.
appreciate you, carnal. Hey, Viva Mexico, cabrón.
We'll get back to
yeah,
Risky.
yeah, yeah, sorry. Yes, sir. What I'm
Ándale,
not
cuídate.
Always coming for me.
Always, always. Now you're
I
getting deep on
appreciate
there
it. Though.
because
I appreciate it.
so you don't identify Norbeez as Mexican, correct?
As far as saying I'm Mexican, no. I definitely say more I'm Zapotec. I'm part of my tribe.
But you don't
Uh,
have. Do you have something against like wearing a Mexican jersey like this or a hat, or do you have
yes,
any?
because in the
You
sense,
do?
like I said, because I am not, I'm not a Catholic. I don't
Mm,
believe in it. I'm not a part of it.
mm.
So by that definition, I go against the flag because by going with the flag, I am a Catholic. I believe in it, which I don't. So I can't really wear it,
Yeah,
and then I can't have it on me, and I can't represent it because I am not a Catholic.
and you
And
got your own convictions.
my tribe fought very hard to keep their lands and keep their laws, and this is why I like the new president. Well, he's gonna be out soon, but this is why I like AMLO, because AMLO, in all of his speeches, all of his mañaneras, he always makes sure to separate el pueblo from Mexico,
Mm,
and he's always there to point out that the power has to always go to el pueblo, never saying that it has to go to Mexico. He gives more power to the pueblos than he would want to give to Mexico, because he knows Mexico as a system, as a government system, is very corrupt. And they're only throughout its history kept the rich rich and the poor poor.
Are
So
they still transitioning power from AMLO to the new AOC?
yes.
Oh, so
That's still happening.
she's not in control yet.
Not yet, not yet. I think the end of September is end of the run, and she goes in on October 3rd.
Yeah. And again, people didn't know this. Again, we don't want to get into politics tonight, but she's like, to me, the new AOC. And if you know AOC, you pretty much aligns with that political party. Again, we're not getting into it because politics is just who you vote for.
I won't say anything
And you can
until
vote
we're
for
a
who you
year
want to
in.
vote for. We're not going to get into that
I
tonight.
won't say anything until we're a year in and we actually see what she does.
Chimichanga says, I follow Santa Claus.
Oh,
And me, and then Risky, I follow Santa Muerte. That's right, cabrón. Santa Muerte, pretty much. It looks like they got the statues that look like, well, like Grim Reapers. I mean, that's what
Mm,
they look like, right? I've seen that. Obviously, it looks like a Grim Reaper painted a lot on the back of cars.
yeah.
But I don't know if did he say that that was the country's religion?
I
Mm,
think he said it was birthed from the Catholicism beliefs.
well, I mean, that's like the Iglesia del Diablo. You know, they got one over here. I went to a Giants game this Saturday, and they got one in San Francisco. Una Iglesia del Diablo. That shit has gargoyles
Yeah,
on there. And
yeah,
I heard that on the inside, it's just black and
yeah.
red. But
But
I mean, to each his own.
remember what I said though. I said that the Spanish represent the four horsemen of the apocalypse. The last horseman is definitely death.
Damn it. Damn it. Real quick question. Does Norbeez celebrate Christmas? Okay. Now they're starting to pick on you because you're saying you're not Mexican. You don't wear Mexican flags. You don't wear. Let's find out more about Norbeez. Does he celebrate Christmas?
For the most part, I don't celebrate for what it is. I don't go to the church. If
Do you buy a
anything,
tree?
I adopted the more commercial version of it, where it's pretty much exchanging gifts. That's as far
Yeah.
as it goes. I believe more of the commercial version of it
Mhm.
than the actual religious version of it.
Someone threw this at me one time. Mikey, no Christmas. In the book of Ezekiel, it says that they worship trees as their gods. And if you have a Christmas tree in your living room, then you're worshiping foreign gods. And I was like, damn, can I just buy some presents and just decorate with candy canes? Cabrón, cálmase.
I
You
mean, there's a lot of things in there. I mean, when you put an angel on top, that makes it more solid, from what I hear.
That's right, you guys. Live on Chicano Tube, live on Chicano Street, to all of the crowd from Chicano Street, to all of the crowd from Run the Fade. Go back and listen to it 2 hours plus, and we broke the whole thing down from the year zero all the way to the 20th century.
And
Norbeez, is there any
still got
last
a lot.
words that you want to tell the public for Mexican Heritage Month? Or let me ask you this. So, do you acknowledge it's Mexican Heritage Month?
It's definitely Mexican heritage.
Okay.
Heritage Month. Definitely 100%. I mean, and again, this is what they try to do. They try to interrupt it. They try to take away pride. They try to take away your what's it called, your identity,
Mm,
and they mix you up with a whole thing that doesn't even make sense,
mm.
because they don't want you to come together and acknowledge your success, acknowledge your pride, and acknowledge yourself.
Right.
And when they get away with that, that's a win for them. So we have to be very vigilant as far as what we pay attention to, what we acknowledge, like acknowledging these terms that they create for us, or these months that they create for us.
Mm.
We gotta realize that there is really just working against us.
So are they kind of dangling shiny objects in front of us? Is that what you think? Just so we can go to
Yeah,
the stores and buy all the modelos because
yeah,
it's Independencia or Cinco de Mayo. I get what you're saying. In this country, they do commercialize a lot of things because,
yeah.
well, money. It's money, and money
It's
makes the
money.
world go around. But one thing they are never going to be able to take from us, and they can be whoever you want they to be, is our pride. And
Yeah,
that's one thing when we birth Chicano Tube and Chicano Street, is what we're going to instill in the people is pride. And I know some
definitely.
of some of the things I say can be controversial.
Yeah,
You've heard me if you've heard my lives, etc. Sometimes we get into politics. Sometimes we get into chisme. There has to be some chisme. The
yeah.
Mexicanos.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, we don't watch the news without a little bit of gordo en la flaca.
We like a little
Sprinkled in it.
entertainment from
Exactly.
here and
But the
there.
point tonight was heritage.
Definitely, definitely. That's definitely one of those things you have to have pride for. Pride for your roots, pride for your heritage.
That's right, cabron. Any last words? Give it over to the people. No more phone calls, cabron.
All right, no more phone calls. My message to the people is that this is a great time to be us, because we are definitely on the rise. The system that has been in power is losing power. We have technologies that we're using now because of our ancestors to have this conversation, to have you in front of us, to hearing us, and and then questioning and accepting and then wanting to do your own research, which is important because our kids need to learn these things as much as we do, because
Mhm.
they are the future. They will become the future leaders, because you guys should already know by now that we are now definitely, as far as population, the majority in this country. And there's no reason why we shouldn't be in control, and not saying that in a bad way, but we should definitely be much more empowered than we are now. We have a
Mhm.
lot of sellouts that look like us, that really don't represent us, and if anything, like, talk shit about their own people. We have a lot of whitewashed people. But
Coconuts.
coconut. But
Coconuts.
by having these conversations, and you guys having these conversations with your families, talking about these things, doing your own videos, writing your own comments, your own opinions, this is how we will eventually become great again. Because that is one thing I do like from Trump, is when he says make America great again. And for me personally, make our people great again, because it's going to happen. It has to happen. We're an unstoppable beast, and this ball is just getting bigger and bigger. And sooner or later, our children will be able to benefit so much more, and we will not have to rely on this system that they created for us to
Mm.
keep staying down. And we will eventually turn this system upside down so that it will benefit us and all of us, not just
Mm.
us, but everyone. Because at the end of the day, you could look at Mexico's history and see that we didn't dislike anybody, and we wanted to help everybody. And we still feel that way.
That part right there, man. Norby's giving his words. You know what, gente? I'm gonna say this, man. Chicano Tube started last June. The reason I birthed Chicano Tube was, this is period point blank, was to instill pride in everyone, no matter where you're from. No matter where you're from, wear it on your chest. Okay, I'm Mexican, Mexican American, Chicano. What I'm encouraging the people to do is, just like Norby said, sit down if you have children and tell them who they are, so they don't have to find out on these pinche teléfonos, on these pinche laptops, and then you wonder why your kid comes home with a rainbow colored 10 different colors in his hair, acting all kind of way. There's no heritage, there's no pride, and there's no roots there. So I don't have my parents anymore. I don't have any of my grandparents. And I'm not going to be the pendejo that's going to birth no sabo kids, and kids that have no identity. Believe me when I say this, my kids know who they are. They don't identify as anything, because they know 100% who they are and where they come from. That's the whole aim of Chicano Tube. You guys, we're wrapping up, you guys. We're going to let you guys go. Believe it, this is just the beginning. Norbeez has been on Chicano Street. Is this your third time, cabron?
Yes, sir.
It's a third time, and we just got started with this cross collaboration. This cross streaming is a hit, cabron. We got to keep
Yeah.
doing this
Oh, it's
again.
incredible.
All right, you guys, we're going to go ahead and sign off. Viva Mexico, cabrones, and tap in for the next live. I'm not going to do a Friday live because I'm taking off to Reno for the weekend. And so tomorrow night, catch me on IG. I'm going to be with my Chicano hermano. His name is IG handle Chicano Chicana State of Mind. Chicano, Chicana State of Mind, my brother Pedro, my brother Peter
Great
over there.
platform.
We're going to have a great conversation tomorrow night at 7 o'clock on IG. If you want to follow me on IG, it's Chicano Tube. You want to follow Norbeez on IG, is No B Lightning. I'm sure you got it
Sir.
probably on your
Yes,
YouTube
sir.
handle, right?
Yes, sir.
You
Thank
got it
you.
on your YouTube bio. We're out, you guys, live on Chicano Tube, live on Chicano Street. But remember what I always say. Remember what I always say. In the end, all you got is the memories. Viva Mexico, cabrones.